Hello, and welcome to Officers Advanced Class. I'm Admiral, and I will be covering the offices of Monarch and Regent.
I'm Wunjo. Hi. I'm going to be covering GMR and Champion.
And I'm Faye Wellen, and I'll be covering the offices of Chancellor.
Fantastic. Okay, if you have any questions for us at any time, please go ahead and tag us in the Twitch chat. You can also send us questions through the Discord, through the featured park on the Nine Blades Discord. Also, if you're a part of the Nine Blades, feel free to sign in on Discord as usual. Okay, so let's get into it. If anyone has any issues with hearing or seeing us, also please let us know. Other than that, we will start. So, right off the bat, let's just go right into Monarch. We're going to quickly just go over responsibilities and powers of all offices. So, for Monarch, responsibilities. First off, public relations. This is going to cover park officers, like mundane parks, police officers, parents, anything to where you're going to be discussing things with mundane individuals of authority. The next thing is you're going to preside over all ceremonies. So this would be like courts, right, for your park for awarding things. There's other ceremonies. You're the one that will be presiding over them. The next thing is you are responsible for making a calendar for your park or principality, depending on which office you hold at which level. And you must do so within the first 30 days of office. So that is very important. 30 days must be done. Next, you will be in charge of opening and accepting bids for coronation and mid-reign. So this is what folks will be sending in their bid proposals for running those particular events. Next, you will be filling in for the duties of any office when needed. If one of the officers is unable to do their job at any point, it gets delegated to you. And last, for responsibilities, you will be in charge of presenting a list of awards at mid-reign and coronation, and you are responsible for giving that list to the Chancellor, because the Chancellor must plug in all of that into the orc, and it is your responsibility to get that list to them. Let's go to the next office before we go into powers. Let's go responsibilities across the board. Wunjo, would you like to take one of the next offices?
Sure. Let's go with Champion, I guess. So, Champion, a lot of people don't seem to quite understand how Champion is working, especially after we did our little overhaul. So in the Nine Blades, Champion currently works a little bit differently than most people are used to elsewhere. The main responsibility of the Champion is to foster and encourage war skills in the either park or principality, depending on, which level you're at. That doesn't mean you have to have an iron total control and grip over all the war skills that are going on. It means you're the one who's going to be helping, encouraging other people to run stuff, helping schedule, coordinate, and if there is nothing better and no one else is running stuff, either encouraging other people and giving them the tools to run that stuff, or doing it yourself. It's very much now the war skill equivalent of Regent, right? So Regent was all A&S, Champion is all war skill. In addition to that, you are responsible for running all the tournaments for that, any mandatory tournaments for the reign. You are responsible for maintaining the lost and found, and making sure it gets passed on to the next champion when they come in. And you're also responsible for maintaining, this is Principality Champion for this last one. You're responsible for maintaining the list of streaks. So, for those who are unaware, if you're looking to climb through the Orders of the Warrior, the main chunk of how you get those higher numbers is through streaks and tournament wins. So, someone needs to be tracking that, because otherwise you have to take the individual competitor's word of mouth, and in a very competitive realm that is the warrior ladder, it's better to have some oversight. So as a Principality GMR, if you're in that role, your job is to keep track of all those different wins and streaks, and then pass that on to the next. What did I say?
You said GMR.
I said GMR. I meant champion. We're talking about champion. Champion, war skill. Keep track of stuff. That's it for responsibilities. We're not there. We're not doing powers in this?
Not yet.
Okay,
Not yet.
cool. That's what champion
Go
does. War skills.
Faye Wellen, can you please tell us the responsibilities of the Chancellor?
So the listed responsibilities, we'll get to the others later. You maintain the records of attendance for all official AmpGuard functions hosted at their level. AmpGuard function includes park or event or basically anything that is considered an AmpGuard function. Maintain records of all awards given by other officers during their term. Thank you, yes, Monarch. This is the list she was talking about. Coordinate elections and all things at their respective level. So at Principality level, there is 2 mandatory all-thing elections, and at Park level, it's also 2 mandatory, but you can hold them every month if your Monarch so decrees and really wants to give you a lot of work. Ensure that the ORC, which stands for Online Record Keeper, and other information files on all members are up to date, which is super important because literally everybody's levels are based on you inputting this information. And all of their awards are based on you putting in this information. Chapter chancellors only, which means park chancellors, manage chapter finances and carry the chapter coffers. They will be responsible for collecting dues, maintaining accurate records of the chapter treasury, that's a mouthful, and storing receipts for the past year for the sake of reporting to the Principality Chancellor. And as a Principality Chancellor, you receive those reports. Principality Chancellor only is attending and keeping minutes during all Circle of Monarch meetings held in person at AmpGuard functions or online in this case. So those are our written responsibilities.
Thank you. Okay, will now cover the responsibilities for Regent. Responsibilities. As Regent, you are in charge of fostering arts and sciences. Just like Champion would cover war, you're in charge of ANS, arts and sciences. Second thing is, if the Monarch leaves office for any reason, you become Monarch. There is no election, there is no anything else. You just auto become Monarch. So if you're going in for that role, you have to be prepared just in case, God forbid, anything happens. Just know that that is a possibility. You hope it doesn't happen, but you should be prepared just in case. Third, you are in charge of organizing Midrain and Koro Feast. Now, this is a new thing, but it is important that just because you are in charge of organizing it, it doesn't mean that you're the one that has to make it. You can delegate it to somebody else. You can just check in and see if the autocrat of the event already has a feastocrat that wants to do it. You by no means need to be the one doing it. You just need to make sure that it is being taken care of by someone. The next thing is running a mandatory cultural event like Dragon Master. For us, it's Dragon Master. So once during your term, you will be in charge of running Dragon Master Tournament, which runs into the next thing. You are also in charge of making the Dragon Master rule set. Now for this, we do not have any specific rule set that is in our Corpora. It is entirely up to you what that is. Now, there are other rule sets that exist. I've created one myself, and that's the one that we're using right now. You are welcome to use that. You are also welcome to use any other pre-existing Dragon Master rule sets, or you have the option of creating one yourself. So we'll go into a little bit later on that sort of stuff for do's and don'ts. And the next thing is you are responsible, again, for giving, you're handing out awards at Midrain and Koro, and are super, super, super duper responsible for getting that list to your chancellor. Again, so very important. Get that list to your chancellor. And that's all the responsibilities that are written for Regent. Wundo, would you like to cover GMR?
GMR stands for Guildmaster of Reeves. And this is another one of the officer roles that has switched over from what most of the kingdoms consider traditional. The biggest change is that we ported the weapon check responsibility. The safety side of Champion is now entirely in the realm of the GMR. Now, that doesn't mean the Champion or other officers can't help with safety. Everyone is encouraged to pitch in together for safety, but the GMR is now our primary safety officer, along with being the primary rules officer. So 2 big responsibilities: safety, rules. Their job, if you want to bring that over there, and I can just reference it real quick on what's a power and what's a responsibility. So like I said, weapons checks, rules, making sure everyone is actually following the rules. And in order to do that, you're going to also be maintaining your Reeves Guild at your park level, or if you're the Principality GMR, the entire Reeves Guild for the Principality. That means making sure all the people that are reaving are competent and they're fair. All right. As a GMR, you're allowed to go to someone who is reaving and say, "Hey, don't reave like that," or you are not in a, you're not reaving well. Please sit down. I'm going to get someone else. Or likewise, you can go find someone who you think is capable and say, "Hey, can you help us out?" Bring them up, even if they haven't passed a reave test or whatever. You're also responsible for writing and administering the reave and corpora tests. Now, thankfully, in the Nine Blades, we have the class marker system, which we've been using for the past couple terms. So you don't have to write your own Reeves test if you don't want to. Every GMR is obviously allowed to write their own test and administer that. But if you don't have the time or don't want to, we have the online tests that already exist, and you are free to access those. Just check with the Principality GMR, and he can help facilitate that. They're really super easy to get access to from the doers, the test takers perspective. And I kind of mentioned it, but yeah, Principality GMR, their job is to also maintain a social group for the Reeves Guild.
Cool. Okay, so we're also going to go quickly over just the powers, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty stuff. So, for Monarch, powers, resolving issues that are not covered in the Corpora. If there is something not in the book, it falls to you. Just whatever you do at that time, you must report it to the next all thing so that it can be logged and just so we can keep track of what's going on. In elections and that are not the monarch election and all things, you are responsible for breaking ties. So, to clarify, your vote is the tiebreaker. It is not done after we find out the results. It's not like you go, yeah, no, I'll actually choose that person instead. It is not decided afterwards. It is whatever you have voted, that is the one that will be the tie-breaking vote. So again, that is for all elections and all things that are not the monarch election. You cannot vote for yourself and get double credit for your own election. Okay, next. Giving any award in this Corpora. That is a power that you have. Just a side note, there are, dependent on your park level, you can only give up to a certain amount of awards. After that, you must go to Principality. For those awards, either they will hand them out or they will give you permission to hand them out in their stead. And then at 10 and Masterhood, Knighthood, that comes from Kingdom, and that must go through Kingdom. So again, they either will hand it out themselves or they will give permission for the Principality to give it out in their stead. But permission, super important. Next. You can create new awards that are not associated with knighthood that help facilitate your office. So you could create non-noble titles and things like that. Anything you wish that falls within your duties that, again, do not lead to knighthood. So you cannot make up an order of the Archer Knight. Drats, I know. So, again, you can create awards that do not lead to knighthood that are associated with your office. And the last power is you can spend up to 10% of the treasury monthly. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Doesn't mean you have to. It is something that you may do if you need to. Again, running a park, there are certain finances that you will need to spend for the upkeep of your park. You might need to purchase materials for loner sashes, loner gear, things like that. But also other things like forms for indoor locations and demo locations. There's certain things that you will need to spend the treasury on, and you can use up to 10% monthly without having to go through all things. So that's like, again, we'll cover later. Champion. How about we go champion next?
Champion. The powers of champion are much less, but not any less important. So the first thing that you can do, and this was already mentioned with the fostering, but you can organize official tournaments that count, that are, for the records and all of that. Official, this is a big tournament, as long as you have the permission of the monarch to make it official. So you're the one who would step up and go, hey, I want to run a big fancy tournament, and the monarch thinks it over, goes, okay, yeah, go ahead, do that. Second, and this is also new with our changes to champion, is you can give out orders. So before, the champion was not able to give out any orders, but now they have the ability to bestow the war skill orders. So they can, again, with permission from the monarch, give out warriors, griffins, and then our new ones that we made, tactician and sharpshooter. So you can give those out, and it is, we're going to talk about it a bit later when we get to orders, but generally, since you can give out those orders, be present in the war skill stuff, right? You are the war skill officer. Be around, watch people, see what they're doing, and try to become one with that community while you're in the role of champion. That's all for champion. 2 things.
Fei Wan, would you like to talk about the powers of the champion? Or Chancellor?
Chancellor.
Hard.
Where are you going, champion? I've never done that one. Also, Chancellor gets 2 powers. Yee! So, as previously mentioned, where the monarch would normally break a tie and cannot break a monarch election tie, guess who gets to do that? You do, Chancellors! And the other thing is, this literally the same thing as the monarch. We can spend up to 10% of the treasury, maximum of $200 a month. Usually those costs go into banking fees, printing out waivers, that kind of thing, to facilitate all the stuff that you need to do as a chancellor in the park. That's
awesome.
Literally my 2.
Yep. Regent, again, 2. 2 powers. So, they can give out particular awards. They can give out dragons, lions, owls, roses, garbers, smiths, masks, and jovius. Now, there's a lot of those that the monarch can give out too, so traditionally, they usually stick to dragons, owls, garbers, and masks. Those tend to be the ones that regents take care of, but they have the ability to hand out the others. For instance, those would come in handy if, per se, your monarch has done something, and they cannot award themselves. You, having the ability to hand out these awards, for instance, could give them a lion or a rose or a smith for service. So, you can give out those awards. Usually it's just the main 3 serpent awards and mask. And then the last power is that, again, like monarch, you can create awards fitting your office. So, again, that usually tends to be, like, non-noble titles. Those also can be really great for incentives for ANS tournaments. If you run one-off tournaments, having a particular non-noble be the prize is a cool way that you can use that particular power.
Actually, you brought up a good point that I didn't mention with Champion. Up until we added those awards to Champion, the Monarch, there were some certain blind spots in Monarch where the Monarch could not get certain awards when they were in office. With the War Skill Awards now being on Champion, a Monarch could, in theory, be awarded for most, I think pretty much all, except the like little one-offs like Jovius and whatnot. Or can you give out Jovius?
Jovius, the
Yeah. So the Monarch can still be awarded awards while being Monarch. It's just the other two officers need to be the ones to go, oh hey, and do the legwork. So that's nice.
And just a side note, for Monarch again, right? If you're Monarch, consider that as well for your other officers, because again, they can't award themselves. So you have the power to award all of those awards. So you can award any of your officers if they're doing things outside of office as well.
Cool. GMR?
GMR?
GMR. So, GMR has one power at local level and then two more at Principality. So, the base level of a GMR, their base power is they're allowed to make clarifications on field. This means if something comes up and you don't know what's going on or the rulebook is unclear, they can say, this is how we're playing it. I go into this in a lot more detail in my Reeve lecture, which you can find elsewhere. But the long and short of it is you're trying to just keep the gameplay going, right? If don't feel obligated to go online and hold up the entire battle game asking a question on the clarifications page. If you're the GMR and something's going on, use common sense, use the safety, fairness, playability mindset, and make a ruling. If that ruling ends up being wrong, it's okay. Just get through the day, find out what it is, and continue. If it takes a while to find out what the clarification to that is, your ruling will persist until I think it's the next all thing? Yeah, until the next all thing or until you decide to change it. So that's the ruling for local level and Principality GMRs together. Principality GMR on his own has two more abilities. One, they can overrule a ruling made by local level GMRs. So if the local level GMR goes, I think this, and I'm sticking to it, but the Principality GMR either knows better or has researched it more, or just you're in a conflict of interest situation, the Principality GMR goes, this is what we're doing, this is the rule, and can trump a local GMR. Obviously, you want to have better communication, that you don't need to go to that lengths in order to solve a problem. But if the need arises, Principality GMR can override the locals. Last one is the Principality GMR can remove someone from the Reeves Guild for improper conduct as a Reeve. This does not mean they lose the fact that they did a Reeve test. So for Crown Quals, they still did a Reeves test. It just means they are no longer allowed to Reeve unless another Reeve or Reeve Krat or GMR decides to deputize them and give them Reeving powers, right? And I guess I'll use this real quick just to talk briefly about the powers of a Reeve, just very in a nutshell. If you're a Reeve, you have the ability to deputize other Reeves temporarily, right? So if you pass a Reeves test, you're in the Reeves Guild, and there's a battle game that needs Reeves, anyone who's passed the Reeves test can volunteer to Reeve. Anyone who hasn't passed a test needs another Reeve to go, yeah, come and Reeve. You can Reeve with us. And then they temporarily get Reeve powers for that game. So that's just how that works, and that's obviously, as a GMR, you want to make sure Reeves exists, so you should know that you can deputize Reeves. They don't need to have all passed a test.
Okay, that's it. At this point, again, if you have any questions, I guess tag me, and then I can read them off to everyone else, just because not everyone can see. So if you have any questions, please tag me in either the Twitch chat or the Featured Park Discord for the Nine Blades. Again, for Twitch, there is that 20-second delay, so we will see it 20 seconds after you post it. And if we don't get it immediately, we will reply to it as soon as we can. So after each section, we will open up for questions. But yeah, next we're going to go into the common mistakes and misconceptions for each of the offices.
And while we're getting there, hydrate.
Hydrate.
You're missing the hydrate break.
There we go. Oh. There we go.
I couldn't really see what you were drinking. It looked like you just had like one of those cans of like Folgers coffee, ground coffee, and you were just like,
I do have coffee made, and I forgot to make a cup before I sat down. So, yes. Mistakes! Common mistakes!
Common mistakes! Oh, goodness.
It's my Deadpool cup.
There's one.
See? It's water.
Oh,
I'm
it's a
drinking
Deadpool
water.
cup. Oh, my headphones
Fantastic.
are falling
Hey,
down.
no, hydrate.
Okay, so, I guess I'll start with, Monarch, common mistakes and misconceptions. Oh, it's a doozy. There's a lot. I think one of the biggest ones is that, a lot of times folks don't put in bids for events. You then all of a sudden have to run it. It falls to the monarchy to run events when there is no one who has bid for it. Traditionally, the monarch tends to be the odd crowd of the event, but they can delegate that to someone else. They can also delegate it to not an officer. You're not restricted to it being the officers, but it falls to the officers that they need to be the ones taking care of that. Even if it is to delegate it to somebody else, it falls to them. How about we just go around and just, like, name a thing for each as we go?
Okay.
Just 'cause
Yeah, I like that. That's good.
There's a lot.
In the same order that we
Sure,
just were doing?
Yeah. So,
all right. Champion. Common misconception. And this is more due to the changeover, but the common misconception is that you only need to do stuff if no one else has run something. You should, now, it's a 9 Blades Champion, have a little book of things or games that you can run, be prepared, and offer to do things when you get to field. If no one has come to you before field, assume that you're probably going to be running something and take that initiative to get things going. If someone wants to run something on field, they'll approach you. All right, so don't just like show up at field expecting to sit around and participate, and then go, oh, no one's running anything. Okay, ditch, right? Have something planned. Their Easy Guard exists. There's tons of games on there. There's a million different collections of things. It doesn't always have to be super inspired, but have a little pseudo schedule planned and encourage your populace to get ahead of you or to contact you before the day, so you know what's going on into the day.
Chancellor, common misconception or mistake?
Oh, everybody knows what the first one is. I'm going to say common mistakes. Waiting to enter your credits and awards. Don't wait. Don't put it off. Do it as soon as you possibly. It doesn't have to be the next day or the next hour or anything like that. But don't put it off. Do it as soon as possible because you're going to forget. And I'm going to be honest with you, probably in about a week, someone is going to be complaining that they don't have their credits because they want to level next week. And they had that last credit last week. So don't wait. In addition to that, common misconception, if I can just like sort of go together, ask for help. If you, for whatever reason, as a park chancellor, can't input your credits in time, or you feel like you need a break or something like that, talk to your principality chancellor. That's what we're here for. We're here to help. I can enter credits in your park. Like a principality chancellor can enter in credits in any park. So that's what we're here for.
I'll go with Regent. Gosh, which one? Okay, I'm gonna say the rule set. Common misconception is that ANS tournaments are The problem with those is that they are easily broken, and a seasoned competitor will destroy a tournament by knowing the loopholes. There are loopholes in all of them. You have to know what those are and account for them. Oh gosh. Because you could end up with a situation with, like, for instance, flooding. If there is nothing to account for that, you can have one person put in masterwork level but have one entry, and then have somebody put in 20 things that took them 20 seconds to make, and they'll end up winning just because they have more. So they'll get 1 point for each of their entries, and it will still be more than the masterwork entry. So there are many, 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 many ways to break a tournament, and if you don't know what those are and you're writing your first tournament, it will get broken. For sure. GMR?
Common GMR misconception. I literally just had one in my head, and then I started listening to you, and it just went. So we're going to go with a lot of people seem to think that GMR is like the forgotten stepchild of the officer family, especially with our changes. Not anymore, but even in the grand scheme of things, even in other parks, GMR is part of the each park's trio of people who have to decide on big safety stuff like bans and suspensions and warnings and all of that. So even if you think the GMR is just some like bookwormy guy, all your job is to just think about the game and remember all the rules, they actually have a secondary job that they're 90% of the time not allowed to talk about, that involves them communicating with the Chancellor and the Monarch, and dealing with some pretty heavy stuff a lot of the time when it comes to complaints about possible bans and suspensions and all that stuff, especially if you're in a Principality GMR position.
All right. So back around, yes? Common misconceptions for Monarch. I would say the amount of work that, like, demos in indoor locations take, it's a lot of paperwork. And you also have to deal with the liability insurance. You have to talk with the BOD. You have to have them vote to even let you use the liability insurance for the activity that you're doing. The report itself that you get from the BOD is very, very specific. You have to have specific names in certain locations. Basically the facility or the organization that's, like, running, like, if you're in a parade or a festival or something like that, they'll have very specific things that they need you to have on the form, and if any bit of that is wrong, you have to do it all over again. And if you can't get in time, you don't get to do your demo or you get your indoor location, depending on the time crunch. And it can take quite some time. So giving yourself a few weeks before deadlines come up is really essential. Basically everything for Monarch is don't wait on things. As soon as you know that something needs to be done, get on it and do it, because deadlines will be the nail in the coffin for your term, for sure.
Champion?
Yeah, do champion, yeah.
If you have, just a quick in chat, if you guys have any things you can think of that are common misconceptions that you'd like us to maybe talk about, post them now while we're talking so we can address them. Because when it comes to champion, I'm kind of running up a little short. I think the one I'm going to mention right now is the fact a lot of the time when a rain theme is decided, it's decided by the Monarch. The Monarch will usually be like, this is what my rain is going to be, and maybe they'll talk with the Regent and they'll do some A&S type thing. You're going to, your whole job is fostering war skills and running stuff. That includes quests, that includes tournaments, that includes all the, battle game scenarios and whatnot. If you, get in touch with your Monarch at the start of a rain, or even, if there's only one of you running, you can have a pretty solid impact on that. And if you make it synergize with what you can actually excel at executing, then the rain will be that much better, right? Because nothing is more annoying than having this big glorious rain announced and then absolutely nothing is actually run other than like the announcement posts are themed, right? And it's like, ooh, themed announcements, right? You want to be able to play a quest that has that theme, and that's where a good champion can really hit that out of the ballpark. So if you're looking for a way to excel as a champion, a common misconception is the fact that you don't have any say on the theming. You can, and you should, because it'll take some of the weight off the other officers for making that, they don't have to work so hard with their announcement posts.
Chancellor, a common mistake or misconception?
Like, I'm trying to think. I'm torn between two, so if we go back around, I'll get the other one. So common mistake is not using the tools provided to you. I feel like we need a Ken Walker button somewhere on this screen that will pop up every time we mention something that helps Monarchy do their job. Chancellors specifically benefit so much from what Ken has got made for us. So like, I'm going to quickly on my phone go through the list on his computer that is available to you. There's the JSORC API that will give you the voting population, kingdom ladder status, upcoming events, you're about to level, recently leveled, the MORC, which is literally you can QR code sign in on somebody's phone. You don't have to keep a giant attendance sheet, which, by the way, I have like 400 of them. Top 10 park averages.
I don't have one.
Where do you play? Nine Blades voting. He has like a bunch of parks. Rising Winds, Viridian, Emerald Hills, all Kingdom Principality officers. Like this, literally just search JSORC, which is JSORK, on Google, and you will get to his GitHub. He has so many tools that literally makes Chancellor so much easier. And just like, yeah, use the tools that are provided to you that he has spent so much time making our job so much easier. You have no idea. So shout out to Ken for night, just saying. Anyway.
Ken, you're a blessing. Thank you for all that you do. Oh gosh.
Regent. Regente.
Regent? Cool.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Memory. Ooh. That one for Regent. Doop, 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 doop. Oh. So, because we don't have traditional crown quals anymore, it is a common misconception that the Regent just doesn't do anything for that time period. You can still run a tournament during, when you're getting around to that area. It doesn't need to be a Dragon Master tournament. Folks just need 3 passing entries. So if you run any tournament to where you can have 3 passing entries, you will do your park a great service. Sometimes doing a tournament is just a quick, easy way to get your qual. Also, folks don't need to enter the tournament. They can judge the tournament to get their ANS qual. I think that's been a big one too.
We need monthly rap battles.
Do we
free quals?
Need them? Can we have them? Do we need them? Oh goodness. So, basically, like, I've just started doing a thing, the whoop-de-doo tournaments. They're online, they're quick, they're simple. Oh gosh, the judges have fun. Yeah, and it's very, very simple, right? The idea of it was started on sort of a meme type thing back in the day when Hydras were very much a thing. I entered a tournament at Kingdom level, and I put all of my Crown Qual entries that I needed the next week for a duchy level ANS tournament, Crown Quals, and then didn't realize that I had disqualified all of my entries by entering it into a higher tournament than I was putting my Crown Quals entries into. So all of a sudden, I lost all of my entries when you needed 7 passing entries to qual. So I had to do all of them again in a week. So the theme of this one is basically you have to make 3 entries in 3 days. So you can make them all in 1 day, you could make them all on 2 days, take the full 3 days, whatever you like, but it's a speed thing. And it's done online. So you just put the pictures of your entries and the write-ups, attach them, you put them on wherever you're going to be judging. You can, I've done it on an event page before. And then you have the judges meet, basically like in a Discord or a voice chat of some sort, and you send them all the pictures and the write-ups, and they go and they judge them. And that one was a bracketed style tournament, so it's very, very easy to run. You don't have to worry about scores and judges' comments. You literally all just go, this one or this one. Which one passes? Like, which one is more work, bigger scale, right? And that one moves on, right? And you go through the bracket. Very simple. So again, you can run different tournaments. You can run them in very different styles. It's just a matter of making sure that you do have things that are available to your populace so that they can get those crown quals in time. And specifically, again, why I'm saying this, because of how long you have to finish quals, most folks end up still doing the traditional, okay, I've decided to run, now I have to do my crown quals. That is not how crown quals work now. You have 6 months prior to you running to do your crown quals. You could be crown qualled 6 months before you ever decide to run. So get them done quickly, right? Get them done right off the bat, even if you're not going to run. Just get them done, because that way you'll know ahead of time that you are done with it by the time you go, I think I'll run. So, yeah.
Yeah, just a note on that, since the crown quals changed as well, we tried to set it so that if you are naturally inclined towards a certain role, you will almost accidentally complete all your crown quals just by doing the thing you're passionate about. Right? So people who are well suited for Regent will probably be entering stuff and running, ANS stuff. They're going to knock off their quals by accident, right? People who keep running stuff, you're going to knock off your champion quals really easy. People who reeve, you're going to knock off the GMR quals. So the new crown qual system is definitely more suited to making sure people who can do the thing can just run.
Absolutely.
GMR?
GMR.
Since we're all talking about different systems that make things easier, I'm gonna promote the class marker system one more time. Specifically, the misconception that the level of knowledge that your players have is going to be very wide-ranging, and it is not just your job to police safety and rules, it is your job to also foster and promote and encourage safety and rules. Now, the class marker system that we've implemented has like over 150 questions on it, and they poll randomly when they do a test. There are practice tests available that will just give you 10 questions at random, and you can let your players or encourage your players to go there and just shoot some practice tests. Right? They get told the answers if they're wrong. It's literally just for funsies. Doesn't mean anything. You can go on and take some of those random questions, and every week at field have impromptu pop quiz. Just shout a question so you can answer it, kind of thing. Throw what was I throwing at people? Tootsie Rolls.
Tootsie Rolls.
Throw Tootsie Rolls at people, right? Give them candy, give them whatever, right? Use that to encourage people to know the rules, especially things that maybe might be difficult at your local, your local metagame, right? If everyone and their mother is using Ice Ball, and you see people for some reason are still having difficulties understanding how Ice Ball works, have little Ice Ball pop quizzes, right? Repeat stuff, get it in their head, and help your entire group grow. You are not just there to slap wrists and, threaten bans and check weapons. You're there to make sure everyone grows together. And then you slap wrists and check weapons.
What?
And slap weapons and check wrists. Make sure everyone's still alive. See? Medical, safety, GMR.
Moving on. Again, if you have any questions, please tag me and I will let everyone else know.
Actually, yeah, sorry, I meant to address that. Yeah, Vale, GMR, I think, has the potential to be harder. Definitely more emotionally harder, and more morally harder, especially when the disciplinary stuff gets heavy. Champion can be harder if you commit to a big, reign-long arc, or you commit to, you set high expectations of yourself, and then you kind of burn yourself out. But yeah, GMR is definitely no longer just the, like I mentioned earlier, the estranged stepchild, and that is why we made sure that they can get exit titles now as well, because that should be acknowledged and rewarded. Yeah.
Okay, how about we move on to the next section, because we're going to end up doing more mistakes.
Yeah, then we're going to bleed into each other.
Into these. So the next thing is organization and planning. So we're going to give tips and stuff on organization and planning. Mine are kind of going to bleed into each other a little bit, so I'll just repeat. But for Monarch, this is what I do for all offices. I have journals, tons of journals. I write everything down. So especially award recommendations. When you get award recommendations, put them down immediately. You will forget. You will forget directly after the conversation that the person gave you a recommendation in. Also, remember to plug all the surveys. If you have surveys for award recommendations, which I highly advise, you're going to get more through that because you also have the option to do it anonymously. We are starting to make it more of a cultural thing up here that it is acceptable to make it known to the officers the things you do, instead of just hoping somebody notices and speaks up on your behalf. We have found that method ends up with a whole lot of people getting overlooked and a lot of work being done and nobody awarding that work. So it was super, super important to let your officers know, but creating a survey that you can give to folks that will also help you, because at the end, when you're going through everything, you have everything typed up. You have a whole thing that you can reference. So other than awards for writing stuff down, also give artists enough time to create scrolls. Give them enough time to make hoods for master hoods or favors, sashes for paragons. If for knighthood, it is a huge list of items. Know what all the items are. Be sure that all of them are accounted for, because they are part of the ceremony. And if all of a sudden the ceremony goes and somebody goes, is there a belt for the candidate? We forgot a belt. We don't have a belt for the candidate.
Anybody see a snake? Grab some toilet paper.
I've heard of ceremonies where somebody in the crowd would take off their belt and give it to the prospective knight, because either it wasn't done in time, somebody forgot it at home, or it wasn't made, whatever the situation is, right? You don't want a situation where somebody's going to donate their own items to somebody because no one made one for them, or obtain, purchase, whatever the case may be. So that takes an extraordinary amount of time and organization. It is also important when you do work with artists that you keep tabs, that you don't just go, oh, you're going to do that scroll eventually, right? Cool. Make sure they know the deadlines. If you want them done by a certain date, Make that very clear. If they need to be mailed, if they need to be delivered to an event, like work with them and coordinate how it will get to the event. Right, we're in a weird situation right now because of, online everything. So what we've been doing is taking photos of the awards, but we also need time to take photos of them and put them into the programs. So that also has deadlines and whatnot. Right, sometimes you're in a super convenient situation where you're right there and you can hold up the award, and that works perfectly fine. Awesome.
Thank you for saying that. I was like, oh man, she's talking about me.
I got you. Right. If you're in a case where you've got the thing, awesome. You can just go, here, look, I made you the thing, and it works. It's awesome. But when you aren't fortunate enough to have that situation, you got to be able to have the picture. You got to have it. Also, right, be legible, and like the photo not be a blurred cockeyed thing where it's like half of it's just like your room or half of your torso in the photo, and like maybe you see only this much of the scroll. Right, there's things you gotta make sure, and you gotta communicate with your artist to make sure that that's all sorted. So it's a lot of just keeping organized, keep notes, keep communication going. Know everything that goes into the awards. Make sure that you're not double booking awards, because it is a terrible thing when you have 2 artists and 2 scrolls, and you go, okay, I've got the scroll. What's that? Oh, okay, I guess I'll just... Cool. Right? It feels terrible. So you really, really want to make sure that there's a lot of communication, there's a lot of organization, and everyone's on the same page. There's that. Also,
do you want to go around one at a time, or do you want to just do the whole thing at once?
I only got the one more. Meetings. You end up having a lot of meetings. So the important thing is write notes on what is discussed during those meetings. Make sure you put the date and time so you know when those things happen. But also, you can use your phone, set alarms, set calendar reminders, talk to your chancellors who are amazing. Right, just to kind of, sometimes you'll be just like, oh crap, it was today. Right, you'll think it's tomorrow, you think that it already happened and you missed it. Like, just having a reminder on your phone, a thing that will ding, just to be like, oh right, I have to go have that meeting with this person at this time. You might end up having individual meetings, you might have to have meetings with Kingdom, you might have to have meetings with your other monarchs, depending on what level of office you're in, or just keeping communication with your other officers. So everything about that is just be super organized, keep notes, keep track of everything. You will need everything. Next office.
I guess we're going to go in the same order. So champion. So a lot like what she said with the orders, same thing. Keep notes. As soon as you know something, put it down. This is especially important if you're principality champion and you need to keep track of streaks and all that kind of stuff. As soon as the tournament is over, get that information, get your details, get the wins, losses, keep the record of everything, and input that and get it into a place where you don't have to remember it as soon as possible. Because if you just throw it somewhere and say, I'll get to it tomorrow, then all of a sudden you put another piece of paper on top of it, and then it becomes a coaster, and then it becomes a coat rack, and then all of a sudden you're like, I need space, and now it's gone in the garbage. So write stuff down and put it where it needs to be as soon as you can. Further, champion is also responsible for passing on that information to the next champion. So you want to make sure whatever method you're using is digital, first of all, and written in such a way as to be viewed by people other than you. So don't write in shorthand. Try to make it nice. Ideally, you're getting something passed to you from the person before. So take that. Hopefully it's good. Keep it in the proper organization. Keep it up to date. And then send it on in the same condition or better than you received it. So that's a big thing when it comes to keeping track of information. Am I gonna do the whole thing for champion? I got like one more.
Yeah, just
Okay. Second thing, when it comes to the fostering your war skills and what you're actually doing, know who's at your park. So if you're going to plan what you're going to run, you want to pay attention to what people are enjoying, what people want to do, right? Do your own little surveys, do your little polls. You want to be able to plan properly to create entertainment and to create enjoying days for the people that have come to your field and that you are fostering the war skill and stuff for. If your entire park is filled with people who are, you know, flurbs or battle gamers, and every time you show up you go, yeah, we're playing ditch, right? And like you and one other guy go and ditch, you're not really doing your job. Like, you're doing your job to the letter, but you are not fostering it on the scale that, you know, we're expecting you to do. And sometimes, unfortunately, if you are the champion of a park that has a majority of interests that don't necessarily match your own, that sometimes means saying, hey, this is what the majority wants to do. We should cater to the majority. Still make sure everyone else gets a chance to do stuff, but if you're going to favor something, you got to favor the majority of what people are there, right? If anything, right, try to encourage people to branch out. Try to get people to like doing anything. Try to get your entire park enjoying the same thing. But at the end of the day, it's just all about knowing your park so you can plan accordingly for what you want to do and how you're going to run your tournaments, how you're going to run your battle games, your quests, and all that jazz. Champion.
Chancellor.
Totally coffee. I was like, "Grr." When you do GMR, I'm totally getting coffee. I was like, how long? Oh my god, okay. Organization and planning. This is literally like 95% of a chancellor's job. It is super important because guess what? If you don't log it, it's a liability issue. We control the finances. We control the waivers. We control all the stuff that we need for our taxes and stuff like that. You need to be organized, and you need to keep everything, in one spot, and it needs to be able to be passed on to the next person or to the principality chancellor if you're a park chancellor. There's a lot of Google Docs that principality-wise that we pass on and share and stuff like that. So you'll be able to see like 7 years back. Everything has to be logged. Every penny that goes in, every penny that goes out, because we have to claim it on our taxes. And profit and loss, that's another thing. Nobody does the profits and losses, and you really gotta. Trying to think. Organization. I have a giant, one of those banker boxes that is like, I have A, B, C, D, E, F, G of all the waivers and all that stuff. It's in your best interest because when you become chancellor and the person before you just kind of hands you a box of receipts and just random loose papers and says, here you go, it's your problem now. It's really hard to fix that. So think about the next person that you has to take on this position. It's literally like a job. We are an NPO, we're a business. We have to keep these things logged. It's a serious thing. This is more or less like if you don't log a receipt, somebody doesn't get paid back. You can't fix it the next mid-reign and give them an award. It's not like that. This is literally a business thing. Chancellor can get pretty serious, and you can be held liable if you don't get the receipts and you hand out money for whatever reason. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how to make it sound like super, how important it is you need hard copies of receipts. You need to log them. You need to keep them in a lockbox. You need to count every penny, and ledgers. Ledgers are super important too. If you don't know Excel, and I'm your principality chancellor, I'll teach you Excel because you're going to need it. So yeah, I'm trying to think. Also, as a side note, I can't see any of the chats on my phone. So I don't know if
Yep,
anybody
I'm
has
keeping track
asked
of...
any questions.
We do
Thank
not have
you,
questions
because
as
my
of yet.
phone is just ridiculous. Yes, ask questions, because like I'm trying to think of, none of this is actually covered in the corpora of it doesn't say that it says you're responsible for the treasury. It doesn't really, it's one line. It's a lot. It's, you don't need to be an accountant or like go to college or anything to be able to do it, but it is very time consuming and super important. And yeah, is that too serious? I'm trying not to like scare people off of being chancellor. I'll be chancellor forever now because no one's ever gonna run again.
It's important that folks understand the seriousness of the situation and that they don't get blindsided when they go in. I think that's a thing for most offices, because there is so much to them that isn't in the corpora. They look at the corpora and go, oh, there's only a couple things that I have to do, so I could do those. And then they get into office and they get blindsided because there's so many responsibilities that they end up having to do, and the amount of time that they have to put into it. Also, it can be the equivalent of having a full-time job. And if you have a full-time job, understand that you're basically doing 2 full-time jobs at the same time. Physically and mentally, it can be extraordinarily taxing, and you have to be fully prepared and cognizant of what every bit of that is before you commit to it, or else you might run the risk of one of two things. Either you will have to drop out because you cannot mentally or physically take that amount of pressure or strain, or you end up just trying to push through it and the term will suffer because of it, right? You might end up just dereliction of duty sort of thing, right? Where you just stop doing everything, and then you just look at the corpora and it's just the bare minimums happening, and that will affect other offices, that will affect your park. So it's important to know, if you need to bow out, that's okay, but make sure that you do it when you know you need to. Otherwise, make sure that you know how to delegate. It's a team thing, right? All of your officers are part of one team. Use each other for moral support. Ask for help when you need it. Some things you can delegate to your other officers, and they can help you out. Especially if you're just in I'm going to say like a rut where you just need to get past this week, this couple of weeks, whatever the situation is. Talk to your officers. They can absolutely help you, and they want to help you. Just be open and honest and ask for help when you need it, because the help is absolutely there. You're not in this alone. So
yeah.
I was going to say one of the chancellor things, just before you like with the health thing, just goes back to misconceptions. Chancellors aren't the only one who can enter awards and attendance. Monarchs can do that too. Monarchs have the ability. So, yeah.
and if you end up asking for help for someone, right? I guess the two sides of that coin is, make sure you thank them, obviously, and you're not beholden to only use that person for help. If you ask one person for help, it's not like, well, you're my helper now, and I need to rely on you solely. Don't actually lean on someone who helps you, because they're volunteering to help you. And if all of a sudden you go, oh, you're so great, can you do my entire job? That's not going to be good either, right? So, respect people who do help you and try to learn from what they give you and take that and improve yourself. And at the end of the day, what I wanted to, I guess, kind of sum up the organization and planning thing, it's all about, and you've heard this many times before if you work in any sort of business thing, it's the work smarter, not harder. And it's so cheesy, but oh my God. Like, just being smart and being proactive, just asking for help, keeping track of things, getting things done when they need to get done, makes your life so much easier and stops you from burning out. Because if you just throw everything in a pile, anything you don't know, you just ignore, and you just delay and delay and delay, all of a sudden, that pile's going to catch fire, and you're going to have a heart attack, and you're going to be like, I don't need to deal with this, and away you go, and now what? Now it's everyone else's
You burn out the
problem.
next person.
Meanwhile, you
Yeah.
feel
And the
like
work is
you
still
failed
there.
everyone down.
The
The
work
work
still
is
has
still
to be
there. Yeah. So, if you're having trouble working smarter, ask for help, right? And other people who might be better at organization can help you help. Yeah, they can help you.
Well, that's one of the things with the principality officers that isn't in the powers and things, but we're like for park versions of us in principality, like we're supposed to be the ones who are helping you be a good GMR, be a good champion, be a good monarch. We're your go-to, and you know what I mean? Like we can point you in the direction of where you might need help. Like I have a huge chat with all of my chancellors. As a side note, all of my chancellors are amazing. And if they need help, they can ask me. Like literally, as soon as you become chancellor, you get added into this chat. And any questions that you have, either one of my other chancellors, one of the other chancellors will answer your question, or I will find out for you. Like that's what one of the sort of non-mentioned principality power or like responsibilities is we have a responsibility to the park version of our office to like help them succeed. You know what I mean? Or at least I feel that way.
If you become a local officer and you don't and you're not invited to a principality, like a group with all the other locals in the principality, definitely message your principality officer, because those should exist.
They do.
At least last time I was there was one for each office. So they should exist. They should be there. And that's the best way to find a support group, because you're all doing the exact same thing at that point.
Yep. Regent, again, we also have that. So, again, right, when you're at principality level, that's a wonderful point. We do have groups that are specific to the offices. So that is a really good place to ask for advice, ask for clarifications, second opinions. I'm not going to go too far into that because we actually do have a whole thing section on award stuff. But yeah. Gosh, just keep organized, folks.
I missed the thing. You know what's not in our corpora that really should be under sort of
more of those cartoon beavers.
The beavers.
Yeah, I also love the beavers, but also there's no mention of the fact that the Principality Monarch and Chancellor are on the BOD. We have a seat on the BOD.
That's in the BOD bylaws.
As well. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
But
as the writer of the corpora with ability to put it, I can put that in. The reason it's not in there is because those were not, the BOD bylaws were not done when the corpora was set up.
I'm sorry, I tried, okay?
No, it's good. So message me after and I will literally put that in there as just so you know.
No, but that's an excellent point.
It wasn't. Yeah, the point was that like that's not really mentioned in the corpora. That's one of the things. Is like you're part of the BOD as well, the board of directors, which is part of my this is a business. As a side note, also you're part of the board of directors, so responsibility there too. Because I was gonna say my higher up for chancellor is the BOD CFO, chief financial officer. So, I mean, even I have a higher up, and then, that person has, a kingdom higher up, you know what I mean? There's always somebody higher if, for whatever reason, you need to go higher.
Until it loops back down, and then the AmpGuard International President responds to the people. Right? That's how it's supposed to be inspiring. It's all...
I think they totally answer. I know they do. They have to, right? I never had to go that high.
I'm just the regent. Grabbed all the things.
Speaking of regent, organization and planning for regent.
Okay, organization planning for regent.
Can I grab a coffee?
Yeah, go.
Okay, I'll be back. Sorry, empty space for a second.
I'll mute you so we don't hear noises.
Quick coffee break for those that want it. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so organization stuff for regent. a lot of it's the same as Monarch, right? It's keeping notes, making sure that, you know, every time you get a recommendation, you are writing it down. Also, oh gosh, yeah, one thing I forgot to mention with Monarch. So this is something that for pretty much any office that gives awards, this is a good tip. So when you are you're writing down award recommendations for folks, have their Monday name, have their character name, like what they're go by the orc, have what park they're in if you're in principality level. Otherwise, they'll be your park members. You're going to want to write down what they did that they're being recommended for. You also want to write down the possible awards that it could fulfill if it's not a clear case. And then go to their orc and look at the number that they're at right now and jot that down separately. So that way when you have to go and make your deliberations, you have a quick glance reference, so you don't have to be going to the orc and looking up, okay, go to the thing, go to the principality, go to the park, look up the player, scroll down forever, right? You don't have to do that for every single person when you have to give out awards in a week, sort of thing, right? Also, don't wait for the week before. Oh goodness, please don't. Another thing with that. So, there are templates for awards that are not the high-end, right, when you're talking 10 Masterhood, Knighthood, all that, Paragon, Noble titles. So those you can just print out. But they're not filled in. You have to fill them in. They take a surprising amount of time to handwrite everything. You're putting in the date. You're putting your signature at the bottom. You're putting their character name with all their titles. You have to know all their titles, because that's like the one time you ever use these things. So put in their full name. You have to put the number that they're getting, what award they're getting, why they're getting it. You also need to type up all of that so that you can send that to your chancellor. Note also, whatever you type there is the only reference information that they have. So, if you don't put in specifics what they got the award for, they don't know what to put in that blank, and it could end up being blank. Now, the problem with that is when you're going into deliberations later and you want to look at the past couple of things the individual did to determine whether or not it's going up in scale, difficulty, and all that stuff, you won't be able to know what they did. And then you're making that decision blind. You don't want to be in that situation. Help yourself, help your fellow officers, help your future officers. So all of that information is extremely important. So again, if you're just writing down all of that as you go, it'll be very quick when you go through it, getting closer to the date. I would say start looking into your finalized list sort of thing a month prior. Know what you want to give out a month prior. If you are giving out something that needs to be made, go farther than that. Make sure that, right, if you have a scroll or, right, look at Masterhoods, for instance. Their scrolls tend to be a sizable scroll. It's usually not just like a paper size. It can be, though. That's totally fine. Some people do that. Totally fine. But traditionally, they tend to be larger things. So that takes a lot of time. You want to be able to give anything that's sizable and difficult to do. Give an artist a month to do that, right? For scrolls. Now, Masterhoods, right? You got the scroll. You also have the Master Hood. So, for that, someone needs to make that. They have to know the color that the hood has to be. Each award has a specific color associated with the award. Then, there has to be a gold phoenix on the hood as well. Those tend to be like hand-stitched. All of that is very, very difficult. So if you have somebody getting, let's say, a Master Rose, that's a white hood with a gold phoenix. That has to be sewn. That has to be delivered to wherever that's being presented. Plus the scroll. That's one award for one person. Now, if you're at Principality level, you're dealing with, like, 60 awards. These are hard. These are hard to get done, to keep organized, keep communication with your artists, to keep everything super organized so no one's getting left out, and folks don't forget to make things. 'Cause sometimes if you do go out far before your date, your artist might forget that they agreed to do the thing. So then all of a sudden, you know, a week prior, you're like, hey, just checking in. They go, oh, crap, which one was I doing again? And they're like, oh, no, we don't have a scroll. Now, some artists are amazing and can do a scroll in a week. Bless. Some folks can do that. And some folks, right, if I'm making a thing, I'm going to take 3 months to make a thing. Because I'm difficult on myself. I do really ridiculous mediums that takes more time than they ever have a right to. Oh, I have a question. Does it have to be a hood for masters? Could it be a pendant or a belt favor?
Master hood.
Master hood.
Master hood.
You've achieved your master
hood.
belt.
Master hood. It's a master hood.
Yeah.
And we will not back off on the pun. It must be a hood. Fight
Wait,
me.
yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I'd be pretty disappointed if I got a master belt favor instead of a master hood, because
Depends on preference. Like,
I
if it's a
never
person who
got a
likes to
master
rock a
hood.
mohawk and you give them a hood.
Well, you could make it accommodate. I'm
But here's
sure.
the-
Oh, with the
It's not-
hole? They're rocking the, like, big
Yes.
spike hawk? And
Remember that you can wear
What?
the hood down, right? I have a hood on what I'm wearing
Also
right
that.
now. I never wear the hood up. I have a hat, but it's still a hood. It's there. It's an aesthetic.
I think if
There's
you
mantles.
know...
The big thing is the mantle, right? Because the mantle is what you've got the gold phoenix on, right? And it's showing the gold
Yeah.
phoenix on the color.
If you know the person doesn't like a hood, if they've said, like, man, if I ever get master hood, I'd rather have a master fucking shoe, right? Then
Yeah.
obviously this is an acknowledgement
No,
for
I
them.
want a
Don't be
master
like,
shoe.
no, you're getting a hood. Like it.
Okay. Yeah.
But with
But otherwise, default.
Hood.
yeah, with most awards, right, you want to customize them to the person, right? If they are like super adamant against hoods, then yeah, make something else.
Make
but-
note, Vale does not like hoods.
Noted. You think I'm joking?
What do you
think
want?
That I don't
Now's
write
your chance.
things
What do you
that
want?
happens.
Master hat.
Master Dicky.
Well,
Oh my
no
goodness,
hood.
that's a line. That's a little bit of a line.
Noted.
What?
I write down
Master-
everything.
The thread adult or the video adult. This time it's you. Just saying.
What?
You said a
I said Dicky. It's a
No.
thing.
no. You
Get
said
your mind out of the gutter.
You said the F word earlier.
Did I?
Yeah, like 20 seconds ago.
Oh. Well, fuck.
And this is why we
I
can't
didn't
have nice
catch that.
things.
I was being so good.
Watch the slamma-jamma.
Language. Right, so yeah, like, but again, right, most people do prefer the hoods. That's like the traditional gift now. Now that it has been established, most folks that get their master hoods really look forward to them. They didn't have that when I got my master hood, so I never got a master hood when I got my master dragon. So I've been super bummed ever since, because I'm just watching everyone get hoods. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Then I'm like, oh, I can make a hood. I'm a serpent knight, and then I just never do it. It's just disappointing myself.
Can we? I just had an idea. Can we have master hoods and master swords for people who don't want hoods? It's like a master sword, but it's like covered with their color with the phoenix on the freaking cover.
Are you gonna pay for that?
What you get making a
Okay,
hood?
another
Get
common
Master
misconception and thing. Most of these things are donations. They are gifts. if you pay out for every single material cost and commission cost, there will not be a treasury.
Yep.
Also, some
Ask
artists
your
charge a
chancellor.
lot. Yeah.
Ask your chancellor how much is available to be able to spend on these kinds of things, or run a fundraiser, because chances are I'll say, you have 10%. This is your 10%, my friend.
Yeah, so if you are somebody that is donating their time and effort to making something, if you are not willing to do it as a gift or a donation, you need to have that upfront conversation, because you also need receipts. You can't just be like, I don't know, give me $50 for it. Like, can't do that.
Thank you.
Right, because otherwise we could just be hooking each other up with any random number amount, and we can't do that. We actually cannot do that. You have to have a receipt. Yeah. So if you are making something and you make the agreement that you will be paying the individual for the material costs, they have to provide the receipts of the materials, the cost, right? You can't just willy-nilly go, I think this is worth about $50, right? We can't do that.
Yeah.
We would like, as much as we would like to, we can't. So yeah.
If it's agreed upon ahead of time, in theory, they can get a normal like receipt pad from like Staples, write a receipt for a commission for $50. They just need to provide a receipt. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That was, I was gonna say that. It's in my box over there that's being buried. I was gonna grab it.
Yeah. But yeah, that is one of those things that you have to negotiate ahead of time, for sure. And if you are, a regent or monarch that is doing those negotiations, if somebody has a high fee and cost, and then someone else is willing to do it for free, put that into consideration also. Also put into consideration who is making things, because there's a lot of close personal ties and family ties, and sometimes they would really like to make something for someone and have just like this sort of sentimental thing that means a lot to them. Sometimes artists have particular artists that they've like always wanted something made by. Right. I love Lisa's work. Anything she makes, I'm gonna go gaga over. Something that Leah makes, I go gaga over. Katie, I've been so blessed with so many artists that have been so amazing to make things for me. There's a huge sentimental thing. There is a huge artistic designs and styles that are just really amazing. So when you have somebody that is very close with the person, or the person really likes a particular art form, right? Because sometimes they're not scrolls. Sometimes they're not like painted or drawn. Sometimes it's a 3D art thing. Alana Two Trees made this amazing chest thing that looked like a hobbit hole. It was remarkable. You can do any sort of medium when it comes to scrolls. I think it was oh goodness.
Was it me?
No.
While you remember,
Linden, I believe.
I just have to say, I need Lee to make a knighting cartoon for somebody. That would be like the most amazing scroll ever. Would be a knighting cartoon.
He did an animated cartoon like portrait thing that changed for Kavix. But yeah, Lee, do more things. We love your work. Do more things.
Oh my god.
Never stop crafting.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
There's so many things, right? Look, you can do cartoons. There's so many mediums, right? Right. Dame Linden made a master rose for Dame Alana Two Trees on her garb. She hand stitched a thing. It was her master hood is a garb tunic, which is amazing. I've seen quilts made, right? Katie made that for Talos master healer, right? You're only limited by your imagination. It does not need to be a painted thing. So if you're interested in making something for someone for an award, if you're just like, oh, I don't draw, that's okay. There's other ways you can do it.
Yeah.
Yep. There's also right. We talked about the hoods. Sashes, right, for paragons. That's the color of their sash, silver on the edge. Paladin and anti-paladin are difficult because you need something with the black or white phoenix on it, and instead of going around the rim, you have to go around the phoenix, because if you go around the rim, that's actually an apprentice favor. Little known fact.
Whoever wrote that rule is stupid. And they should feel bad.
I know. It's so difficult. So unnecessarily difficult. But it's a thing. Cornets, right? For nobles. These are all things that need to be produced. And it's a lot. It's a lot. So you need to know what the items are, the specifics of them, the little this or that. If you're giving out a noble title, you have to know what the title is, because your artist needs to know what that title is because it's part of the scroll. If you don't give it to them till the day of, then all of a sudden, that's not going to get on the scroll. Yes. A tabard or tunic would work for paladin and anti-paladin.
Could you have a silver rim tabard? So you've got the like how I have.
Again, that would be apprentice. That would be apprentice.
The tabard? No.
Yes.
No.
Anything that has the rim on the outside, it has to be
Get
around.
out.
It's true. What I actually wear for anti-paladin is a tabard. Tabard. It's tunic with a giant black skeletal phoenix on it. That's what I wear as my I'm playing this class today thing. But I've also got I've got a belt favor also. They're hard to see. But yeah, like tunics work great for that because they're very visible. But again, you have to put the silver around the white or black phoenix, dependent on which class it is. It's just a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It takes time. Everything takes time.
Offices are a lot of work.
Everything. Everything.
Yes.
Everything is a lot of work.
Offices ever gonna be a breeze, like ever. Because as soon as you do, something goes to crap, and you have a pandemic, and then suddenly everything is.
Sorry, whatever. Yeah. What's everything like? I didn't get that.
Again.
Sorry, I was
sound?
like everything is.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
It was a one-time thing.
I couldn't. I mean, it just clipped. What? No, sorry.
It's being recorded.
Yeah, we'll play it back.
You can turn it into a ringtone.
Instant
later.
replay. No, I don't have access to that. Sorry.
Yeah, I think I've rambled on enough.
Yeah, that was about organization of Regent.
Yeah, there's a lot to organize.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Yeah.
So GMR now for something completely different. I'll go over the kind of different things. So, first thing when it comes to safety, the best organizational tip I can give you for GMR is have a book, possibly a photo little gallery on your phone. Most people don't know that you can just add photos to your notes. So if you're keeping notes, just take a picture, add it right there for your weapon checks, right? I know not everyone does weekly weapon checks, but you should be. But check weapons, and if you see something that might need to be fixed, take a photo of it, make a note, put it in your notes, right? If you see some things like spell balls or stuff like that can probably go a week or 2 or 3 without being checked, take photos of them, right? Make notes, and just keep an active, ongoing chronicle of your weapon checks so that when something comes back the next week, if you see something and you're like, did I check this already? This is a little wobbly. You can go and be like, oh yeah, this thing's been like this for 3 months now. Hey, this is illegal now. Fix it. Right? You can, because sometimes a lot of things are on the cusp. Oh, it's a little rattly. Oh, the cover's ripped. Right? I'll let it pass for today. Not everyone has perfect memory. Keep track of what stuff you're giving a freebie day to, right? If it's not like immediately safety legal. And then be able to reference that. And that'll help you not unfairly illegalize weapons. Because the worst thing to do is to have someone come back and you'll be like, hey, your weapon's illegal because your cover is ripped here, right? If you can give them that pass, give them the pass. But if they go an entire year, right? If you give them a pass at, you know, your mid-reign, and the next mid-reign you're looking at it and it's the exact same rip, and maybe it's a little even bigger, you're just like, you literally did nothing to this. This is on you. So that's the big thing. Have it chronicled, and also try to keep tabs on people if possible, right? Every time you see it, be like, hey, this, right? So that's for weapon checks, for organization and planning. Keep notes. The general theme is keep notes, right?
Is it?
Vale asked you a question. Sorry. Vale said, by the rules of play, they are required weekly, like required weapons checks weekly, right?
Yes. By the rules of play, they're required. Like, a weapons check should always be happening weekly. Now, as the GMR and as the person checking it, your thoroughness of your check is not mandated to be a full, you know, what's it called? In-depth examination of everything every week. Especially for something like spell balls, right? If you know, okay, they're squishy, right? Don't feel like you need to go do the measurement every week, right? You can go and be like, spell balls, hey, cool. Are any of them new? Did you change any of them? No. Do a cursory look. If you know this person's safe, you can just pass them. You do not have to do a thorough, hands-on examination of everything that you have. Especially stuff you've already seen before. Right?
For like an hour, right? To do it every week, literally, there would be no game.
Yeah, just keep note of problem things and do a thorough check on the problem things every week. You know, if you have a couple new players and everything they're bringing in is like duct tape and cement, right? Check those. Right? If someone comes in and brings in a new funky weapon that's a weird shape, right? Check it for a couple weeks to make sure nothing is falling off, especially when you get these weird tridents or cross guards or whatever, right? Arrows, right? When you see arrows, they're fine, but do a quick glance over, ask the archer, hey, have you changed anything? You know, did you make any new arrows? Do that so you don't have to necessarily go one by one over the whole thing. And it also, you are not obligated to only do weapons checks at a specific time. If a new person shows up, feel free to go over to them, check their weapons, and do whatever, right? And if you miss them, okay, it's fine. It's not the end of the world. Check it next time. But you should be have every weapon being used should have been checked at some point before it gets on the field, and the sooner the better. But don't feel obligated to go in depth all the time.
Are you the only one that must do it? Can anyone help you?
Correct. I mean, that was a multiple choice. So, you're not the only one who can do the checks. You're in charge of fostering it, and it's your responsibility. So if it doesn't get done, you're the one that's responsible for it. But anyone who's Reeve qualified, anyone in the Reeves Guild has the authority to do a weapon check and to say this is illegal. Obviously, you, as the GMR, have the authority to make a ruling that trumps the local peeps, and the Principality GMR can then trump you if the deems necessary. Hopefully, we're not going that high up for a regular weapons check. And get, like, officers, by default, they've had to have passed a test. So they should be Reeves qualified just by virtue of being an officer. So get them to help if you need help. Right, your champion, most of the time, champions are already kind of expecting that they're going to be doing weapons check. By the rule book says that champions can do weapons checks, right? So a lot of people will just naturally find the champion for weapons checks, right? So feel free to, if you're going to rely or buddy up with one of your officers, buddy up with your champion, because the rest of the Amp Guard world already associates them with weapon checks, even though we do things a bit differently. The other thing was when it comes to your testing, right? The Reeves Guild. If you're at local level and people are doing your own written tests, make sure you keep track of who did them, when they did them, and send them upwards to your PGMR. If you're the Principality GMR, keep a running list of everyone. Especially with the way the Reeves Guild membership works now, it is not a 6 months from when you did it. It is referenced to what term you did it in. So if you do a Reeves test during your local GMR's term, you are good in the Reeves Guild until his or her or their term is done. If you do a that same test, also will give you your Reeves Guild membership on the Principality level until the current Principality GMR is done. And if those might not be staggered, so let's say, using the visual on the screen here, if this is one GMR's end term and this one's another one's start term, if you do it in the middle, right, one of them will expire a little bit in, and you may need to do another one if you want to be at that level as well. It's a little wonky, but it's generally, if you're focusing on local level, do it around when your local GMR changes, and if you're focusing on Principality level, do it when your Principality level changes. Find the good period that gives you the longest distance of both, and you should be good. I think that's it as far as organization and planning on this end. Just keep track of stuff, like everyone else has been saying. Keep notes, keep digital if possible. Make sure it can be passed on. Make sure it's not in your shorthand. Make it a transferable document, and be ready to transfer it. Actually, that's probably the biggest thing. Is it's not just, hey, here's the link, right? Make sure that when you transfer it, it's, hey, here it is. Do you want to walk over, or do you want to go through it with me? I'll explain kind of what I was given, what this looks like, how stuff works. Have an exit plan, so you can leave this office better than you left it, and the person getting it is going to not be falling downwards as soon as they get all these documents, right?
I think it's one thing that forgot to mention, that you bring up a really good point. The exit plan is important. If you have admin privileges of things, right? If you're mods on things because you are in office, those have to be passed on, right? So passwords, things like that, switching over, admin dropping out of stuff. If you have surveys and things like that go for awards for your park or principality, the passwords and all the things, whatever the login stuff, email, that all has to be passed on. Because if you don't do that, then they have to make them from scratch. Right now, we have ones that we've been just passing on from term to term, and just changing stuff. And if we don't know what those passwords or email logins and stuff are, Trey's just running behind me, my cat Trey. Yeah, then you're stuck. You're super stuck.
At the local level, you should have at least one, if not one for each officer, like a Gmail account or like a Google account that has all your Google Drive stuff on it. Don't make it on a personal account and then just give permission to people. Because what happens there is those permissions never get removed. And all of a sudden you now have a file where everyone has access to it that's ever been in that office. And it, if special information ever gets in there, or if someone wants to start messing around, they can, right? So the best way to do it is you make it a Google account, either for your park as a whole that all the officers kind of use, and you just make folders for each person, or you make a Google account for each position. So it's just like, Linagon Monarch, Linagon Regent, Linagon Chancellor, Linagon GMR, Linagon Champion, and they each have their own account. And when you pass it on, you change everything. Don't just say, here's the username and login. Take the 10 minutes it takes, because a lot of the safety recovery questions and the what's it called, two-factor authentication, right, are going to be tied to either your phone and backup email, or heaven forbid the first person who made it however long ago, because you haven't changed it. And if you run into that, then you're just like, oh crap, where is Joe Blow? Oh, he lives in New Mexico now. We need him to give me the 5-number code that should be texted to his phone, right? So, not to put Nathan on the spot, but when GMR transferred over, I got a notification that Foodbard was logging in to the Nine Blades GMR account because the backup information was still my phone, right? So, right.
Okay,
so
now you're being called out, Fubard.
Yeah, no, not Foodbard. That was Nathan's. Nathan's not changing over. So Foodbard, change over the stuff so it's all set to you, and that way you're never locked out of your own Gmail. But then when you pass it, all the files go with it, and they just boom have access to all that stuff, and no one unnecessary can see it.
Yeah. If I can interject just with like Chancellor specific stuff, because we're dealing with financials and the bank account and stuff like that. If you change the password, you need to let the BOD know. Usually it's the CFO. We always have a 2-person thing, so you're not going to be the only one who knows that password and all the authentication questions, because if something happens to you or you just decide you don't want to do this anymore and leave us, we'd be screwed. So you need to, if you change passwords, tell your CFO or CEO in the Chancellor Principality position. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, just one more thing before we move on to the next topic. You, especially like at local level, but also some things in Principality level, you will have physical items as well. So like
Lost and found.
That's the champion, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
If you're champion and you have the lost and found, when your term ends, you must get that lost and found to the new champion, right? If you're monarch, you might have business cards, flyers, any like bunting or banners, flags, things like that. Right now we have coronets for all the office monarchs. Those you need to pass on. Just there's lots of physical items. Also, with the digital items too, right? There's lots to hand over. Make sure you have everything collected and you're doing it quickly and organized, so that the transfer of power and just how it will affect the next term. How quickly they're able to get all the things, switch everything up, and start is important. So.
I haven't looked into it yet, but I just noticed on the Google Drive that there's a new thing like Google Teams kind of thing that I think can link a bunch of different drives. Because one of the things we've been running into is in all the transfers, not having a single oversight account, like just a tech admin who's just like, oh hey, this person, left office and then was burnt out, so they just like pieced out and was shut off all their social media and didn't check it, but they didn't transfer their stuff and now we're screwed. It would be good to have access. You have a designated, even on the BOD tech admin who is the monitors an overall Nine Blades team Google account that all the other sub accounts are part of. So if there's an issue with one park or something needs to be accessed, we're not screwed, or worse, we're not forced to restart all the data collection, right? Because especially when you have like award recommendations, if that doesn't get passed on or if it gets lost, anything before that, like any of those award recommendations before that person's term, gone, right? A list of warnings or a list of possible ongoing investigations, if that doesn't get put on, gone. Hey, those didn't happen, and now all of a sudden person A, B, whoever is now back at square one with their issues, right?
Yeah.
So I think that kind of flows nicely into our next topic, which is risk assessment and management, essentially. So there are things that you need to look out for each of these offices, and some of these things have mundane repercussions. Specifically liability, because we do have liability insurance, and we are functioning as an NPO. So there's certain things that we are responsible for and each office needs to take care of. But there's also less dreadful things, less super mundane repercussion things that is just here are risks. Here's to avoid risky things. So we'll go over those. For Monarch, you're going to be dealing with a liability insurance. You're going to be dealing with police. You're going to be dealing with a lot of mundane officials. Remember that you are representing the park. Remember that you're representing the Principality, Amtgard as a whole. Don't lose your cool. Don't panic. Don't start yelling at an officer. Do not use illegal substances at park. Don't don't do things that will put your park at risk. If you know of a member that is doing that, make sure they are not. You are responsible for all of your park members following the rules, both mundane and rulebook. Well, I mean, the GMR is going to be covering, like, rules, but more along the lines of, don't be attacking other players, don't break mundane rules, don't steal, right? Just nitty-gritty things.
Interrupt this message for this chip bag break.
I'm sorry, no, it's a chocolate bunny, okay? I really... Yeah.
Yum.
Oh, no, my chocolate
Spam
bunny.
some nom emotes in chat. Give us all the nom emotes.
Nom nom nom. Go for it.
I'm doing really good. It's been, what, an hour and a half without a cigarette break? I'm doing great.
You're fantastic. I appreciate you.
I'm glad.
So right, again, when dealing with liability insurance, right, you have to work with the BOD to get are you using my Twitch?
Nom.
Very well. It's a lie, I didn't say that.
Quote Amy.
Quote.
Nom.
That's why we can't have nice things.
Poor risk management. Identity theft.
Letting woundos near the keyboard when you can't reach them.
Yeah,
Super
Fubar's
dangerous.
right. We now have you on camera saying it.
Saying that
I did
it.
nothing. This is fact now.
Could you? I'm actually gonna go into that. Take screenshots of things, of conversations. If things are concerning, that don't line up, if you need to have an investigation, it's good to have
Fubar took a
screenshots.
screenshot of the screen right now, didn't he?
I have no idea. Right, so basically it's keeping track of evidence, it's keeping track of dates. There's things that are going to happen that you're not aware of. And once you become aware of it, you need to be able to go back and go, okay, here's all of the conversations, here's everything that happened, these are the dates that happened, and you send all of that, right? If you're one of the people that is deliberating one of those investigations, you have that and you share that with the council. It is important also when dealing with bans and other disciplinary actions, it's important to keep the information to the trio. So the trio is your chancellor, your monarch, and your GMR. You should not be sharing that. What? Yes?
One sec. Depending on the situation, it could also be the CEO of the BOD.
If it goes that far, yes. If it is just local level and it's not, I guess criminal liability stuff or
anything that is liability. So I think it's COC 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3 or 1.
Everything could technically be a liability other than the don't break the rules one.
Okay, no. Basically, if you can go to jail for it or we can be sued for it, yeah, basically that.
So everything but 5 and 6, I think.
Yeah. So,
So yeah, 6 and
that.
yeah.
Because five is don't break the rules. 6 is the hostile environment. 7 is youth policy, right?
Youth policy definitely
That's the
does
one.
apply.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah.
So it is important that you might end up with situations where you get some extremely sensitive information. Don't share that with the other officers. Don't share that with your park mates. Don't share that with your significant others. Don't. No.
Yes. No.
But
And the
secrets.
significant others.
Yeah. It is. There's gonna be some hard calls, and there's gonna be some things that you never ever want to know. You don't want to hear. Ignorance is bliss, but it's your job to take care of it. It is your job to protect your players, to protect the park and the principality, and it's some serious stuff. You're gonna end up with some very serious stuff. For a victim to come to you with their testimony, there is a huge level of trust that they need to put in you to be comfortable enough to tell you. It is extremely hard for them to come to you in the first place. But what you do with that information is critical. Because there's also can be real life repercussions of you spreading that information. Especially when it comes to individuals' safety. If that spreads, you could end up in a situation where that person is in danger because you shared information with individuals that should not have known it. So it is, sometimes it's small stuff, but sometimes it's life-changing things. So you have to understand your role in that and treat it with extreme delicacy.
This also applies to GMR and Chancellor, obviously.
Yeah. I was going to interject just, we as Monarchy do have a responsibility if for whatever reason we have duty to report. We are not the law. If it's warranted, if you think somebody could be arrested for something, go to the police. It makes our job easier if you report to the police because we cannot. We are third-hand reporting party. We cannot report. We can't do anything for you. It sucks. It really does, because I would be your voice if I could. But yeah, like we are not the law. That is the end thing. But the thing is that nobody technically has the right to play this game. If you're a danger, we're gonna remove you. It sucks, but we're gonna remove you. So don't be a dick.
Plain simple.
It's pretty easy. That should be like, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, there's a question in, I think, Lisa, you would probably be the best one to answer this. What do you do if the person being investigated is one of the three?
Then that person is definitely not in the investigation.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that now. The person that you come forward to, because you can come forward technically to any person in the monarchy. It can even be the GMR. It can be the chancellor, or the monarch, the regent, any of those people, and they will, like, we all know, like, if for whatever reason.
If you're at, if the person is in local level monarchy, you can go above them to principality.
Right.
If the person is in principality level monarchy, you can go to local level and they can help you figure out how to contact principality and whatnot if you want to do it.
Yeah, because you can, in our case, principality, you can go above. There's kingdom, right? Rising winds. In our case, you can go above that. If for whatever reason it's rising winds, AIBOD. You know, there's always kind of the AIBOD, as far as I know, has never screwed us. So like, we can't go above them. But
the people.
There's always the people. There's always
we just all think.
Yeah.
That's probably not. That's probably breaking a lot of liability. Don't bring your gripes to the people.
Oh, wait. Okay. Yeah.
That was a joke I was bringing
sorry.
around. Don't worry. Do not. The people are not legal counsel. Do not go directly to the people.
I guess that's also a thing, right? When making the post, if you do make a determination that someone is getting banned or suspended, what you're allowed to say in that post is very little. We have had a king in, I think it was Texas, that was sued for libel, I believe, because
defamation of character.
Yeah, because they put up a ban and had what number the COC was, so that apparently was enough to go to litigation, court stuff, being sued.
How did that resolve?
I'm
Or were
not
they
sure
just
how that
sued?
resolved, honestly.
Because it kind
I
of
don't know
changes
if it
things if it was just
has
like
been
dropped,
resolved.
or if there was like an amount.
But here's the thing.
I think it might be ongoing, actually.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I haven't heard a result yet. So don't quote me on that. Not sure the result, but
same.
the individual was sued, or is being sued. Either way,
Or was threatened to be sued.
Oh, he's actually being sued was the paperwork did go through, I believe. It's an example of a situation. So specifics, right? Pending. But the short of it is, we, for liability reasons, for your own safety, so that you don't get sued, so that your park doesn't get sued, your kingdom, your whatever, protect yourself and don't put the number. Don't write the specifics of the ban or suspension. You're gonna put the length of time that the individual is suspended or banned for, that it was agreed upon by the trio, if that is the case. Is it? You've got I've never had to ban someone, so it's
2 out of 3 needs to agree.
Yeah, it has to be 2 out of 3.
Sorry, Monarch plus 1 needs to agree
yes,
for situations that aren't involving the Monarch itself. And basically it's common courtesy to get the whole team on board, right? Because generally if one person's opposed, that means there's still some wiggle room or still something that's unknown or that feels unfair in what's going on, and you want to make sure for the most part that this is not there's not something being missed, and that there's also no bias at hand and that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of things are really tough. A lot of things are really, really super tough. Yeah. I could talk on this all day, but that's not. We will never finish this thing.
Situation together, right? Me and Tyler have been in that situation together, so like.
Oof.
and we have oof, and we also like it's good. It's nice when you have somebody who has the same kind of thinking pattern as you as when you go into monarchy. But sometimes you're going to get the complete opposite, who is just like, nope, this is how it's going to be, and then, I wanted to just mention something about the investigating thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Asking permission. Always ask permission. So I don't want to call out people or do anything. We're a principality. When we ban people, the bans don't proliferate to kingdom, which means for kingdom to proliferate the bans, sometimes they ask for the entire investigation, and sometimes you have to ask people if that's okay. So best case scenario, which in hindsight is learn from my mistake. Say that when you start the investigation, say that it's a possibility that this will be shared with other people. Please tell me if this is not okay. And if at any point after you've taken a thing, like a statement or anything like that, and somebody else requires it for this person to be removed from the game, you need their permission. And if they say no, you don't have a choice, right? You don't go behind their back. It's no. And you're going to have to find another way. So, yeah. Just because you're monarchy doesn't mean, and they've made a statement, it's now not yours to do with what you want. It's theirs, right? You're just safekeeping it, and you need to respect that. So,
Speaking
of
safekeeping
super important to me.
Make sure you safekeep the investigation. Just because it's over doesn't mean you can delete the file, right? You know, stuff, it needs to be tracked. If it's super, if it is super sensitive, then, you know, consider storing it on one of the people's involved personal things. But rip, Lisa, your camera cut out. Can you hear us? Can you speak?
Oh no.
Lisa is the dead.
No.
Let's
Got some technical difficulties. We have
your video dropped. Just to finish what we were saying is, so sometimes if you're keeping the records of investigation on one of those public Google Drives, you have to remember that anyone who comes in the future will be able to see it. So if it is not something that is okay, you need to keep it on. You need to keep it, period. But you should keep it in a place where it's referenceable. And even if you just leave a note on the officer drive that says, you know, full investigation is being stored on, you know, Monarch from this time. You know, the 3 people who were involved should all keep their own copy of it. That way, if, you know, hopefully one of them is reachable, right? And you have a note. You just have a note. So it can be found by the officers if it needs to come up, because, you know, unbanning is a thing. Sometimes people will be banned for whatever and then, you know, turn around and change their life around and get better and want to come back. And when they come back, especially now where you can't say why they got banned in the first place, sometimes that's a whole hard sell in and of itself. And if no one has reference to what happened, this I can pet Amy now. Wait, there we go. Anyway, so if no one has any reference to why the person was banned in the first place, you could run the risk of that person getting back on lies of their friends, or worse, you can end up with someone not being able to come back based on lies of their enemies, or you can end up with either or due to just incompetence and people not knowing, right?
Are you able to fix the technical aspect of this?
Yeah, it looks like she's trying to call back.
Okay. I will just add in a thing.
I'm gonna. Hello.
Did it work?
Yeah.
Welcome.
Did it?
Yeah, we see you. You're back.
Okay. Sorry. I have no idea what happened.
Okay.
How's your internet? Is someone streaming or something?
I don't believe so. Unless I accidentally.
You're buffering like mad. You freeze and then you go Mach 10 real quick. All right, we're just gonna move on and hope everything's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can. Sorry.
Can only see half of her head.
Yeah. Once she sits comfortably, I'll make sure she's framed.
Cool.
Yeah.
As long as she's sitting the way she was, everything should be okay.
Okay, so one thing also I will note, a couple things. Make sure that you have all sides of the story. Don't take one person's word and then just be like, I'm gonna assume that's true. Okay, ban the other person, with no investigation, no finding out what did or did not happen. It shouldn't be a case of two people have a thing against each other, and whoever gets to you first wins, right? Or in that case, doesn't get banned or suspended.
Yeah, especially because now the AI opened it up basically to the point where stuff that happens outside of AmpGuard is allowed to be brought up for AmpGuard stuff. There's a lot of situations now that can become who pulled the trigger first, and that is really tough to deal with as well. I almost feel like this whole topic is the subject of another video, because we're not going to get through this if we.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
It's tough. Just don't expect it to be
tough.
easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So also, right, if you're going into one of those 3 offices, or you're going into, BOD positions like that, know that it is something that is a high probability that you will have to deal with. Disciplinary action in general is almost a guaranteed. It doesn't always end up in a banning. For me, I've only ever had to be involved with one banning investigation, and that was when I was the president of the BOD, because way back then that was how those were dealt with. And the person basically reneged on their accusations and ended it. So we never even, got that far into it. So as Monarch, I've never had to ban someone before. But I've had to deal with a lot of disciplinary things. So understand that you don't have to go, 0 to 60. You don't have to just go, oh, well, this person was a crappy person today on field. Ban them, right? You don't have to go to an extreme. Try communication first. Try verbal warnings. Try figuring out what went wrong. Encouraging, better behavior. Sometimes you just need to have a softer hand with it. You don't have to go, shame on you, you are the worst human being ever, and get your shit together and get the f***ing out, right? Like, you don't have to go that far. Talk with them. See what's up. There could be a million things happening in their life that's making them knee-jerk, and be, snippy, and they might not even be aware of it. Sometimes it's just, hey, here's the situation. Some people are concerned. Try to be cognizant of it, right? We don't want to have to, go any further than this conversation right here. That sort of thing. You can have that, and sometimes that is 100% enough. Sometimes it stops right then and there, where they go, I didn't even realize I was doing this. Thank you for letting me know. I will be aware of it for the future. And the behavior changes. Because sometimes when you have that snap, like, all right, it's, my way or the highway, get on this right now. Right? If you just go to straight to start banning people without talking first, it just ends up being a ban war where everyone just tries to ban everyone else. Do not use bannings as some sort of vendetta thing. Try to communicate first. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes one party is not willing to come to the table. And at that point, you've exhausted what you can do in that in-person, you and the person conversation. And sometimes it does need to go to the next level. But try first. That's the best advice I can give for that. I think that's going to go into the next thing.
I do have a thing for risk management for Champion and GMR that is completely unrelated to liability,
cool.
crazy all this stuff. But they are kind of paired, and that is it's all safety, right? So both Champion and GMR are going to be around when you guys are playing games and you're doing stuff, and both have a hand in when breaks are taken, the spacing between games, the type of games, the terrain around the games. The Reeves are there to make sure it's happening right there and then, and kind of maybe speak up if something looks sketchy. But the Champion's going to be the one planning it. I'm going to give Lisa a second.
Chocolate
Chocolate bunny.
I can see my chocolate bunny also. Like, it's like right there. Now, oh gosh, I want my chocolate bunny now. As soon as
You
it's
good?
done,
2
I'll have
hours.
chocolate bunnies.
Are you good?
2 hours and 18 minutes. I have not
Yep.
had a cigarette. No, 'cause I didn't have one before the stream either.
So what I was saying is, yeah, basically, you don't want people getting injured at your field. You don't want people going down due to dehydration, exhaustion, their own medical reasons. So be aware of all of those variables that can come up. Know your populace. Know what conditions they have that might drift outside the norms, right? Make sure there's water. Make sure you're not playing in any places that have jagged sticks and boulders and cliff sides and all of that kind of stuff. Just be aware of the safety considerations, and if you need, bring some flagging tape to mark off areas. If you need to just say we can't play this here, if you need to say, hey, we're taking another 10 minutes because I can see 3, 4, 5 people who are clearly not ready to start a game, do that, because everyone will appreciate you taking care of their health. And if you can speak confidently, check out my re-video to learn about that. If you can speak confidently, you can make most of your opposition realize, hey, why am I opposing giving that person there who's like barely moving on the ground more time to recover, right? Like, everyone wants to play, but everyone needs to still make sure they're not pushing themselves. I don't want to shake the camera.
Don't shake the camera.
Yeah, so just safety considerations. Both Champion and GMR work together to make sure everyone has time to rest, recuperate, and that there's not actual real-life hazards.
At events, have medicrats. Have people that know what they're doing medically. That's a thing.
This hat doesn't breathe well at all.
Yeah. Also, side note on that too. Something that you're going to deal with Monarch. Expect rain. Expect weather. Have an alt situation if there is just really terrible weather that is either unsafe or just really super uncomfortable that your players do not want to be in. Make sure there's options. Oh, okay, so quick risk thingy for Regent.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk.
When you are running tournaments, be cognizant of who you are asking to judge your tournament. If there is a significant other judging a significant other, that is a conflict of interest. Be very aware of that. Be aware of any sort of like extreme bias one way or another. If somebody is like too favorable with somebody or not favorable or like super negative against somebody, those things you want to be careful of. Now I will say that in the current rule set that we have, you can write in situations to your rule set that delicately take care of that without having to make a whole thing. That I am not posting that. Those are not my tornadoes. Tyler has the computer.
They're seeing you say that 20 seconds after those tornadoes showed up.
No. Okay. Terrible. Right. So how the current rule set goes is that the you have 5 judges. The top score and the bottom score are dropped. So if you have somebody that's just like 10s for everyone, or 10s for this person and 0 for this person, just because I really like this person or really hate this person, those scores are removed anyways. So those will not impact the score. It is specifically written in there to avoid those bias. If you have multiple bias to where those middle 3 numbers will be affected, then you might need an alt judge or someone to simply recuse themselves in the situation. It's a case-by-case situation, but it's something to be cognizant of. You might need to just ask someone not to judge, or specifically not ask them in the first place, if that is the situation. So that's really the biggest thing for Regent. Yeah. So what else do we have on here?
I don't know how long you want to go. Maybe
Yeah.
40 minutes.
Yep. So, the next thing is leadership. Now there's a lot of things that we've already covered. Some things bleed into other things. So, these will be more just quick tips. So I guess we'll start with Monarch. Do not be a dictator. Do not go, this is my rules, this is how I do this, I lay down the law and am unchangeable. Don't. Psychologically speaking, people don't like to be ordered around. They don't like to be made to feel inferior or anything like that. If you treat them as such, you will end up stop typing for me, Tyler, please. Every time you see me typing, I'm not there. This isn't
They
me.
can see me moving the mouse and doing stuff. That's fine.
I like to be responsible for my own words.
Okay.
You keep doing it.
I'll write Tyler.
Thank you.
Admiral and Cash's Wujo
Terrible.
says.
Again, right, so this is very important. It is important to communicate with your other officers. Communicate with your players. Communication is everything. Try to use the delicate hand, but on the other hand, don't let people walk over you either. It is finding the happy medium in between. Make calls that you are confident in. If you're wishy-washy, don't throw down a hammer. If you're not sure, ask. Get a second opinion, get advice from others. If you're local level, right, ask your principality monarch. Ask your other officers. There's different things that you can to do to get that sort of that second advice for most cases. This could be awards. This could be just all things, general upkeep of the park, whether or not your park moves to another park. There's lots of things. It doesn't all have to be on you, but sometimes you're in the position that you have to make the call. You do not need to make that decision with only your own knowledge. So use your other officers, use those sounding boards, and the biggest thing is keep communication with your populace as much as possible. It's going to be important that you keep up their morale. Look at the situation right now. A lot of folks are having a rough time. It is important now more than ever to keep communication with your populace. Talk with your players. Send them messages. Make sure they know that you're there. Even though we're not meeting in person, we're still here. Especially on Discord. Discord has been an amazing resource for us to keep in communication, to keep active in the game. We need this more than ever. So if you are in that leadership position, keep up morale, keep up communication. I will say that be cautious of text. Text is very informal, and text doesn't have tone. So you might end up in a situation where when somebody reads it, it might just sound angry to them. It might just sound authoritative in just like hit a nerve or something. That will be just someone's imagined tone, and they might completely misinterpret what you're trying to communicate. And you might end up with somebody knee-jerking hard on you for something that you write. And it might be super confusing because you're like, I don't understand where this is coming from at all, because that was not what I was trying to communicate. That wasn't my intention when writing it. It can be very jarring. If you just talk with them in person, if you can, is great. Obviously right now we can't do that. But we have other methods, right? Using Discord voice, using video. We're doing video right now. We're talking to you. Stuff. There's different ways to communicate with others that isn't just text. So that is, use your resources, right? Let them know that you're living human people that have emotions and genuinely care. They can see that in your face, they can see that in your voice, physically in the mannerisms. It is, when you're communicating with somebody, you communicate with every part of your body, and it is important that that you're able to use it is important to be able to use all of the resources available to you for communication, to be able to get your message across, especially when it comes to things like morale, or disciplinary actions, or whatever the situation may be. Communication is key. Again, try communicate first, always, before making any snap decisions. Take in all feedback. Don't just listen to your vacuum of supporters and yes people. Sometimes you need somebody that will be very blunt with you and will tell you things you don't want to hear, and I bet that you don't want to hear it.
Beware the echo chamber.
Beware the echo chamber.
Yeah, if you need honest responses, just hit me up, and if I know about it, I'll be straight with you. You
Right.
probably hate me for it, but
Sometimes you need tough love, and it feels terrible in the moment, but in hindsight, you go, yeah, no, I'm really glad they told me that. I needed to hear it, and it was good.
In just to support kind of what you're saying from the flip side, Amy is like super empathetic and very much good at what she is preaching right now. I and most of you have had an experience with me and am really bad at this. So if you are someone like me who has a hard time conveying what they want to say, maybe you prefer text, but it still comes across bad. A lot of people will read text, like she said, they have their worst fears of how you are thinking right now, and they will read what you send as though those worst fears are coming to light. Mm-hmm. And usually that is, you hate them, you're angry at them, something like that. So just open up, right? Make sure you can check and be like, hey, just a reminder, everything here, like, I make tons of little posts where I say, hey, big long post, everything here, smiles, I'm not angry, just trying to be straight and not, spend extra paragraphs, buttering everyone up. It's hard. Emojis. I suck at it.
Emojis are great also.
Right? So if you need someone to talk to, if you're more like me, if you ever look at me posting shit and you go, hey, Tyler's cool. He still sounds like a dick, but I kind of get where he's coming from. Feel free to reach out to me. I've been doing a lot of work personally to try to circumvent that, despite a lot of my own, empathetic shortcomings. So reach out to me and I can try to help and give you some steps, and we can work together to be better.
I was going to say, I'm directly in the middle of those two things.
Yes.
Like, I can be empathetic. That's usually how I start. But if it's a serious situation, I will go straight up business logic, and people will be like, wow, okay, first time I'm going to do this because you both have sworn so far. I can be a bitch. So,
yeah, feel free to swear. We're not prohibited from swearing.
I know. Well, I know
Amgard is
now
14 plus. Jack, if you're watching this, good for you.
16, just saying. Yep. But yeah, no, like, I'm directly in the middle. So, like, now I have to figure out sort of which situation calls for which, because I'm uber logical, but also I care how you feel and stuff. So,
and honestly, it's great having, a middle person like you to talk to that has, both sides, right? Because sometimes you need somebody to tell you something delicately, and sometimes you need them to just be like, hey, this, and having that be like one person that can do both is fantastic. And right, know those people, use those as resources, communicate with them, have them be sounding boards for you. because it can be day to day of what you need, right? Sometimes having the super empathetic thing is not the best thing at times, right? I know my shortcomings is though I am capable of giving bad news, I do not enjoy giving bad news. I do not like saying no to people, even though there's multiple times in which I need to. Sometimes part of the job is the hard stuff that you have to say no. You have to say things that you don't want to say, but is part of the job, rulings and things like that. And sometimes, right, you don't want to be over emotional. You don't want to be too blinded by feelings that you can't get the analytical stuff through, right? I've done a lot of personal work just trying to anytime like I read or see something where I have just a strong emotional feeling, I just take a beat and I'm just like, I'm not going to reply, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to wait till I can get to an emotional neutral position and then weigh the pros and cons, weigh what is the best tone for the situation, what is the important information that needs to be set across. Is this something that I should be replying to, that I should be speaking up on? Because sometimes, as an officer, there's things that you need to be the one saying something. You need to be that voice of the park. You need to come in and say, all right, we need to divert from this. This is a bad situation, but harping on this one person is not the right approach. We need to acknowledge that something went wrong. We now know. The individual knows. We move on. Because sometimes you'll just have two people going at each other. There's going to be times where you need to step in.
Sorry, when you said that, the like when you said like sometimes I see something, I just need to step back. All I just pictured in my mind was that clip of Lisa earlier, just going like wah. Every now and then you need to just wah.
Sometimes you need to wah.
If it helps, I'm gonna in 20 seconds I'm gonna post a thing, and hopefully it should be showing up in chat now. But it's gonna be a link. It's just a personality test thing that I've used to help me kind of understand like where you sit. And personally for me, when I got very far in my life not realizing that certain ways I thought was not the norm. Right, and I think it's really good to see where you lie in the extremes and the different mental kind of, spectrum of things, not like disability wise, but like personality wise, and how you process and how you receive stuff. Because knowing which aspects of you are more extreme, you will know that you need to pull those back when talking to other people. And you can try to point out or realize when you're dealing with someone who's on the other end, and you're like, oh, why is this person butting heads with me, or why am I having such a hard time dealing with them? Probably because they are the like 180 of you in some cognitive thing. Hopefully, I'm actually sending the link now, but you will have seen it already. Post in chat if I got the timing okay.
That's not me.
Oh, sorry. Amy, Admiral Ankash's Wunjo says link.
I wanted to just jump off of that real quick. It is important to note that there are going to be individuals with disabilities that you will be working with. Some of your officers might have disabilities, and they might not be obvious, right? There are a lot of learning disabilities. I have a learning disability. Right? There's going to be individuals that are on the spectrum of autism and things like that, where, and language-based learning disabilities. It's going to be extremely important that you understand that not everyone communicates the same way. They do not process the information the same way. Some folks have very difficult time with typing things, reading things. Other people have a hard time with voice stuff, and typing is something they need. You're gonna get two very extreme situations, and it's gonna be very important to know the needs of your populace. It's going to be important to know how best to communicate with them, and when you do have a disability yourself, knowing how to advocate for yourself, being able to communicate with your officers your needs. And if you are, again, that is not from me. I am not typing.
20 seconds. That's another survey to find out how you learn and what kinds of information processing helps. Using both of those, especially if you can get like other people to do them, can really help bridge a lot of understanding gaps between people.
Yep. So, but yeah, so advocating for yourself, being clear when you are in office, advocating for yourself with your other officers, making sure that they're aware of your strengths and weaknesses, especially if you do have a disability, and just making it clear what you can and cannot do and any accommodations that you need to fulfill your role. Right, like I have done every office except for Chancellor. Chancellor would directly impact my disability, so that's one office that I really can't do. So there's things like that, right? So I have amazing people.
Wait, we need to pose for the
that are amazing chancellors that
amazing officers
that can do these things. Right? It's important also just in general for all offices. Know your strengths and weaknesses. This is something that they went over a lot in the leadership course for the university series. Is it Amherst University, I think?
ALU?
Yeah, that. Great resource, by the way. They have a whole thing on leadership, and I would highly advise watching that. It goes over knowing your strengths and weaknesses as a leader, because that's the sort of thing that will help you decide which office you're going to best succeed in. Because some offices will directly be hindered by your own personal leadership style, how you're able to communicate with others, and the things that you can actually do and the things that you can't do. So it's very, very important, right? If you have a really hard time with public speaking, understand that Monarch is a lot of public speaking, right? Just
Correct.
Things like that. If you know nothing about arts and sciences, Regent is not going to be the best option, right? You're going to be trying to foster those things, but if you don't know what you're fostering, that can be an issue. Now, there's ways to do all of these offices, even if, you're not completely trained. You don't have to be an expert in all these things by any mean, but it will help you significantly if you play to your strengths and to your knowledge. And if there are things that you are interested in, that you obtain that knowledge before you jump into the office. One thing that we do have in multiple parks and even in principality level
Squirrels.
is so many squirrels. But at Linnegan, yes, we have lots of squirrels. That's all I can think of now. So many squirrels. Why? Chamberlains. We have chamberlains. You can have a chamberlain for all of your offices. You can have somebody that basically shadows the job with you, so they can see the inside of it. They can see the behind-the-scenes stuff that the park level will never know that is a part of those jobs, right? Again, not everything is in the Capora. There's so much that is in the Capora, but there's still a lot of things that you have to do. Being in a chamberlain position will show you what those things are. You'll be in those officer chats to see those discussions. You will see the paperwork. You will see everything that goes into it. You'll see when people freak out on you and you have to be like, oh god, guys, how do I communicate with them? I don't know how to say this. Help. You can be seeing all of that. Be a part of those conversations. And also, if the officer is alright with doing so, they can delegate things to you so you can get sort of on-the-job training. And if they need somebody to delegate, that's also a good person to delegate for you, because they'll have inside knowledge of the situations. They will be training along with you and know your methods and all of that, and can be really good teammates, essentially, right? The biggest thing is all of office is one giant team, and they're there to help each other and the park. So use your other officers to, even if you just need to vent. There's gonna be some real frustrating situations, and it'll get in your head, and just being able to talk with folks that are familiar with situations, right? 'Cause you can't disclose everything outside, right? If you're part of the trio and something's going down with a band thing and it's driving you crazy, you can't tell anyone. But you can vent and talk with people that are in that trio, right? That know the situation. You can go, oh my god, today was so rough. Dealing with this, I'm still really troubled by what I heard and I just can't get it out of my head, right? Having those conversations, use your fellow officers to help with moral support, with sounding board, to vent, to get things off your chest. The biggest thing is don't keep everything bottled up. There's going to be a lot of things that will get under your skin, and if you just let it fester inside of you, you're gonna pop. Like that bottle. Right? The human body can only take so much stress. Physically and mentally, you need to give yourself a break. Also, one tip I'm going to give also is set parameters. So sometimes you have to just go, at 10 p.m., I am done. My workday is done. I'm not going to keep going over word stuff. I'm not going to start conversations about things. I'm going to just do things that are not office or amp guard related for the rest of the night. There are going to be random situations where there's an emergency thing that will just pop in, right? Deal with time sensitive things, sure. But for the most part, if it is not a time sensitive manner, give yourself breaks. Give yourself like specific time where you are off the clock. It is very, very important for your physical and mental health. 6 months is a very, very long time. You need to pace yourself. You need to be gentle with yourself. You need to advocate for yourself, and keep up that communication and let your fellow officers know where you are, and how you're doing mentally and physically. Especially if you need something delegated, you need that extra help, you need to just vent whatever the situation is. It's going to be useful at every office, I would say. Chancellor.
I was going to interject something. So, like, you literally, that's like, when you say leadership, communication is literally on my list. I'm just like, that's it, communication. You definitely need to communicate. Sorry, I'm talking super fast. I had the coffee. I'm going to slow down. One of the other things is, even if you're the monarch, you shouldn't be handling things alone. Nothing that you do should be handled alone. You don't have to handle anything alone. That's why we have the trio. If I know somebody had asked if it's one of the trios, if there's something with one of the trios, we replace them with another officer, or if there's a bias or they have to step away or whatever. There's always a support system, and there always should be a support system as an officer. You never should be handling anything on your own because you don't need to, and that's like not mentally good for you to do. Trust me. So yeah.
Bottle pop.
To touch on Chancellor and GMR for leadership.
Champion.
Yep, champion.
No, it's GMR.
Yeah, champion plus GMR. So champion and GMR for leadership.
He said Chancellor.
Everything they said when it comes to the off-field stuff, but like you're going to see as a recurring trend, champion and GMR have an on-field role, or should have an on-field role more so than every other officer as far as directly impacting what's happening at field. So champion will often need to be corralling all the players and getting them into position, and if you don't have the ability to lead, you are going to end up wasting a lot of your day, and sometimes that means running out of sunlight way earlier than you want. And likewise with GMR, you're essentially policing the game, right? If you cannot properly show leadership, people are going to buck, and then you end up forcing authority rather than having cooperation, and you want cooperation first. So my advice on that is my advice for GMR and everything is confidence, right? don't show anger. Don't show, what's the word I'm looking for? Not stress. Don't show that you're getting frustrated with something. If you're trying to explain something and someone pipes up with some random, peanut gallery comment, don't feel like you have to snap back at them. Don't feel like you have to put them in their place. That's going to happen. Know what's to be expected. Be calm and confident, and make sure that you have that aura of authority, but that like, hey guys, we're doing this together. I'm running this. We're going to go from here to there. The best advice I can give I know we're on kind of a time limit right now, is it's called I don't know what it's called. I'm going to call it the guy in the blue shirt philosophy. If you need people to go in a certain way, the more specific you can be when asking for help, specifically who you want to help, the better. And the more likely you're going to get a response. If you just ask for help, be like, hey, can anyone help me out with this? More likely than not, you're going to have people just kind of humming around, right? You might get some people. Cool. Start with that. That's fine. That's how you're going to get the real volunteers. But if you do need help, right, start getting more specific. And if you have to, or if it's time sensitive, directly ask for help from certain people. Be like, hey, Dave, can you come here and help? Right? And work like that. If you will lose the perception of authority if people see that no one wants to help you. So you need, and like, you're not always going to have everyone who wants to help you. Part of leadership is people wanting to follow you, right? And not everyone is going to have a perfect, empathetic, or popularity or friendship track record that everyone is going to follow every word they say. So knowing how to properly communicate and make sure the people you're engaging with are willing to follow you is important. And I know this is kind of getting very, like, do you understand what I'm getting at? Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah. If people aren't following you, people will lack. It's hot. If people aren't following you, people will lose confidence in you. If you cannot move a group of people, right, by your own words, people will be like, well, why should we listen to him? We're going to do our own thing. They're going to buck. They're going to be more likely to go against you. And controlling that is another part of leadership. Dealing with the people who don't want to be led. So if you can be confident, and if you can learn that you can call out people by name, not being like, hey, Dave, stop fucking around. If you're trying to get a game started and you see people straggling, you can say, hey, you can be like, Dave, the game's going to be starting. Head over to your base, please. That kind of thing. As soon as you name someone, they feel automatically put on the spot to go do something. And that's a way that you can subtly control a situation without imposing.
One thing on that. Be cautious of that. Sometimes it is better to just go directly to the person and be like, hey, you want to start? Would you mind going over there, please? Thank you. Right? Calling people out and singling them out can actually have a very negative response. Putting people on the spot makes them very uncomfortable, very stressed, can trigger anxiety attacks. Try not to call out people individually like that if you can, especially if you know that they are not okay with being, like, the center of attention, being called out. Like, be very cautious of that sort of thing. And I know that's more of an empathetic thing. I know, like, for you, it's like...
no, you hit it on the head there. It's like, you can't make it calling out. And that's the really hard part. If you need to know your player base, and you need to know when you can and cannot do that. I guess the point I was trying to make is, if you're trying to get people to do a thing, if it is important that they do a thing, let's say you have a person is being your reeve, your pole reeve for a base, and they need to be there for you to start the game, right? If you just keep announcing, can all the Reeves get to the bases? Even though there's very clearly, obviously, this one person, if you can address them. Now, I'm not saying, don't just yell at them from across the field. If you go up to them.
This is more of a personal pet peeve for me. If you're able to just go directly to the person, address them, don't call them out, don't single them out, because I just got, skin crawly when you said that. I would not feel comfortable if somebody was just like, hey, Amy, you're out of line. Go to your base.
Yeah, don't do that.
No.
The point is, if you address them directly, whether it's up in person, like literally walking up to them and saying, hey, blah, 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 you get better response than if you just keep yelling vague things.
Again, I feel
I
like
was going to say,
over and over again. But,
I was it's right in the middle. Right in the middle of both of you. Do I still have my mic on as a side note?
We can hear you, yeah.
Yep.
Nice. Okay, so right in the middle. It's exactly what Tyler said. Know your player base. Get to know your players. That's how you're going to know how to address them. Because I would know specifically not to call out Amy. As soon as you said that, I'm like, she's going to say something. And then in the other vein of the thing, I can call out, let's say, Craigor. I know that I can call across field and basically scream at him to go do something, and that is how I will get him to move.
Yeah, me too. If
As
someone across the field's like, hey, Tyler, get your spot. Like, oh, yep, shit, yep, thanks.
Yeah. I mean, also, right,
It's
and I'll
literally
say...
taking the time to get to know your player base.
Now, I'll say, in respect to you, I've seen you do this multiple times where you do it with humor. You're very jovial and you just do it with a lot of humor, and the person will find it humorous and be like, oh yeah, no, my bad, I'm sorry, we'll go and do the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they won't feel attacked, right?
Yeah, you just want to get their attention specifically.
But also, right, again, right, what both of you were saying, right, the something to note, right, let's say if they were doing it to me, why I would have such an adverse reaction to that is if I'm not in a specific place, that could be a medical reason for me, right? I might not be over there because I can't physically walk at the moment. And somebody calling me out in front of everyone, pointing out that I'm not over there right now, would then pull everyone's focus to me having a medical thing that I am trying to keep private to myself, that I don't want to project where other people are going to panic, call 911 or something for regular everyday medical stuff for me, right? I do not like being made the center of attention, even though I do end up in lots of leadership positions, oddly enough.
I think the three of us we could have a really cool episode where we just bring up random things and have the two extreme perspectives and then Lisa in the middle and we just shoot the shit about it.
We are just, it's really funny.
I can
No, it's really funny that we have the two extremes of me and you, how we approach things, literally everything, and then we have the perfect middle person, which is Lisa. Thank goodness for Lisa. So many coins. I throw all the coins to my Lisa. Yeah. So I think we should go into just wrapping up some things that just haven't been covered.
Now we have
exactly.
spectrum.
Now you're physically the center person in this video.
I can't click the names anymore.
Oh, I didn't even. I didn't.
He moved our.
I had to switch off.
It's him, you, and then me.
Why is there
He
no
just
question?
moved our videos.
There you go.
Yay. Yeah. So let's get some sort of rapid fire moving on some stuff just to get to an end point. So one of the things was award stuff. We we covered so much already. So the one thing I would personally like to add is understanding how the ladder works. Basically for all awards that lead to knighthood sort of thing, what you generally want to try to do is look at what they've previously done, and when adjudicating whether or not they should be awarded their next X, consider whether it is going up in skill, in difficulty, in scale, if they're improving upon the last thing they did. Now, there's going to be extenuating circumstances, of course, But for the most part, the general thing is look at the previous thing and see if it's an improvement. See if they're going up, right? For Regent, right, that could even be using more difficult medium, using more challenging techniques, being cleaner with your finishing, improvement in your skill and your scale. Are you going from a painting this big to a painting this big to multiple paintings this big, right? Like, is it going up in something where its difficulty, its scale, its complexity, its finishing, right? Because sometimes, right, you'll have somebody that's not improving, they're just doing something big, right? You want to make sure that it's a gradual scale up. Now, you're going to have some cases where somebody's first thing is going to be a full suit of articulated plate, and that's the thing that you look at for, like, a 10th owl, right?
Friggin' John.
John's a good artist. Right, so in cases like that, you're going to subdivide, right? You're going to go, okay, your first is for the bracers, the second is for the greaves, the third is for the pauldrons, right? You're going to go and you're going to award for multiple pieces, and you're going to divide it, right? Because giving somebody their first owl for an entire full suit of armor is not realistic, because that's also not showing their progression and where they can go. So that's a thing to note. Also a big thing. I've heard this multiple times, and this is going to be the cautionary thing. Do not go into office to give your friends awards. There's so many times where I will... Yeah, I'll hear so many people be like, you know what, I'm so sick and tired of this person not being recognized, I'm running next term and I'm gonna fix that. You are there to serve everyone. You're there to serve everyone equally. You are not there to right a wrong for a single individual. I will also caution awarding things from previous terms. That's stepping on the toes of other officers. And other officers might go into something and make the determination that something was not enough for the next X. If you just go in and go, no, they're wrong, I'm gonna give it anyways. Like, that was their job, and they did their job. They made the determination. Getting hooked onto past stuff and just hoping somebody will award that thing from way back then over and over and over again means that you're not doing anything new. You're not trying, you're not improving. The biggest thing, and I know it's disappointing, I have had so many things myself be looked over, and so many things that I have done that have never been awarded. I am not looking to be awarded for any of those things. What I can do is push forward. I can try bigger and better things. I can try to improve as an artist, as somebody that is in office, somebody that is in service. I just try to focus on the future, what I can do to make it be a bigger and bolder statement. Use it as a challenge. Use it as a throwdown moment. Oh, that wasn't good enough? Cool. Watch what I can do. Don't take it as, I'm going to wait here in this moment and wait till the thing from 5 years ago gets awarded. And I'm not going to do anything until that's rectified. Your officers also weren't back then. There's no way for them to determine what was done back then, right? So, like, things for office, right? Getting noble titles and things like that. If you're griping about a noble title for somebody that was in office 5 to 10 years ago, the officer might not have even played the game 5 to 10 years ago, but then also all of a sudden need to make the determination of whether or not it was above and beyond service. That is an extremely hard thing to ask them to do. And it also might have been decided by a previous monarch that it wasn't enough, that they personally witnessed a thing and they have made the deliberation, the decision that they were hoping for more, that needed to be more for them to give it, and that they made the determination that it was not. Trust your officers. They're doing the best they can. Be patient with them. They are volunteers. They are not going in to try to deny you awards. At the same point, remember that your job is to give awards. for things that are deserving and deserve recognition. You should be giving recognition as much as humanly possible, even if that is a shout out. There are certain awards that you can give that are a shout out. Right? Zodiacs. Zodiacs are fantastic. Right?
Zodiacs.
Group work.
I only have June. I need so many more.
Oh no. Right? You can create non-noble titles. There's certain things you can do if you have folks that are too high in whatever their thing is, if they're still going above and beyond doing some crazy stuff, right? You can, right, again, the monarch and the regent can create awards that are fitting within their office, right? Non-nobles, they can create a non-noble title, they can do something of that nature, they can create a title. In Caradoc Hold, back in the day, we used to have the Order of the Awesome. Like, it was like, like the Zodiac sort of thing. It was a shout-out award. We had one player that was trying to get Master Awesome. Got super close, too. I think he got to an 8th.
Wow.
Yeah.
I ranked 10 for Zodiac.
Yeah. And he was awesome, right? So
and he was awesome.
he was awesome, right? No, it was fitting. He did awesome, cool stuff. So basically, it's important that you try to recognize as many people as you can, and that you are being equal with that recognition. Don't just buddy hook up your buddies with non-noble titles and awards and things like that. Try to use non-nobles, delicately, right? They can be really, really great incentives for tournaments and for any sort of like term-based theme thing that you're trying to get folks to do that term, right? They can be good incentives, but if they're just given willy-nilly for anything, or specifically for buddy hookup things, right? Then they lose their value in that, and then it's sort of a all I have to do is be best buds with them, and I'm gonna get 5 of them this term, right? So, right, now, and there's cool things you can do, like our monarch has done, right? Having the term non-noble, right, for the enduring, for everyone that's going through this, that is a really cool thing. That is a very cool unifying thing, right? All of us have that shared thing, and that's cool. Again, creating awards to fit your office, right? That's one of those things.
Specifically to tie in with non-nobles and champion, or anyone who's running a quest, one of the things that I do, and as well Paul, my page, does, is when we run a big quest line, at the end of that quest line, we give out a non-noble that's basically you were participant of this quest line. So I ran a Skeleton War story arc, and at the end of that, everyone got the non-noble title of Skeleton War Veteran. Right? And it's not the whole park. It's only the people who were there and participated in that storyline. So
consistency.
Yeah, and so that's a cool way. So
it's an incentive to come out to field, to come to participate in those quests, right? Which then bumps our numbers, right? It's like everything feeds into the next thing. Everything is a calculated thing. Also, just a side note is when events happen, if you're monarch, right, or even if you're autocrat of an event, write down every crat that did everything. Write down what they did. Make sure that you don't lose anyone in that moment, because directly after the event, you're going to forget who was there, who did what. There's a lot of people that are involved with events. Make sure that you are giving the recognition and possibly awards for those crat positions. If you are doing, if you're regent and you're running the Dragon Master tournament, keep track of all of your entrants and what they entered. Make sure that you are handing out those awards. If it's, again, if you're principality level and they are awards for local level, you're going to send those recommendations to your local regents. Just sort of a side note on that, principality deals with principality level awards. So at all times when possible, a local award should be handled by local officers. So, for instance, for shires, they can only give up to 3, is it? 2? 2, 3?
Three,
wow,
5, 8.
I'm blanking so hard.
Was it
I've
two?
been
I
doing
thought
this
it
for
was
so
two.
long. I think it's 2. I think it goes 2, 5, 8. 2, 5, 8.
Yeah.
Right. So thirds would come from principality, but you would not be giving a third something to somebody in a duchy. That's not within your office. So if you're in a barony, right, you're giving 5 and under, principality is going to give 6 and up. In a duchy, you're giving 8 and under, and principality, you're giving 9 up. Now, when I say up, 9, right? If 10, you have to go to kingdom. Masterhood, you need to go to kingdom. Knighthood, you need to go to kingdom. They are the only ones that can give those awards or give approval for those awards to be given out. So it's going to be very important that you do not give awards that you do not have the power to give out. If you are in a barony, do not give somebody a 7th something without getting permission from principality to give it out in their stead. Also, if they're able to go to the event, please let them hand it out. It is coming from them. That's sort of just like a common courtesy little thingling. Question. Crowns should be only given by principality. I was not paying attention, sorry. Okay, so, quick note on crowns. Currently, they have been given out by principality level. The reason for is that we are in this weird phase of them still needing to be caught up. Some folks have not done the survey yet. Some folks haven't received all of the ones to be up to date with where they are right now. So those are still being calculated and done. So if local level ends up giving them out and they don't know that a survey has come in, they could end up giving somebody a 2nd crown when principality is prepped to give them their 7th, right? There can be a lot of miscommunication and mixing up and twisting, especially with since principality is keeping track of all of them right now. If you at local level end up giving them out and principality doesn't know it, you're going to end up with a double up. So right now, principality is tracking all of them. And they're the only ones that have the surveys. So they're the only ones that actually know what offices that they have covered so far. Are local level able to give them out? Yes, they have the authority to do so. But I would caution against it, or at least without communication with your principality monarch to make sure that there isn't an overlap, that they haven't received a survey, that to confirm that the person has never been in office previous to this time, so that they're right having the same awards coming from 2 directions is going to cause a lot of confusion, mix up, and problems. So I would personally caution against it at this time, because it's not sorted yet. We haven't finished handing out just this is where you're supposed to be in crowns right now. Okay, now go ahead and hand them out as normal, right? We haven't hit that yet. We're still getting surveys literally up to today. We're still getting surveys. So I think until we actually can finish, I would advise against it personally. Now, again, I'm just the regent. This is a call for the monarch. So 100% that is Ryan's choice and deliberation. And that is
Sorry,
up to
in the
also the
backyard,
local
right,
level, right? It's also up to the local level monarchs to make choices as well. So basically, what I would advise is there be open communication with the principality monarch to make sure that there is no miscommunications, and if the local level is all right with allowing principality to continue, that principality can continue to do so. That's really super long-winded. I hope that helps.
We are in the
Yep.
3.
Yep, I know.
Yeah.
Past the 3-hour mark. Woo!
Marathon. Office is a marathon. Always. So
If
much
you
to
watch
do.
this from
This
the
is- I
beginning
feel
to
like-
now in one sitting, leave a comment in the comment section wherever you found this. And
Hey, we'll give you a non-noble.
non-noble
The
of-
enduring.
Yeah. Also, I hope you guys all
Perfect.
appreciate that I've lined us all up because we all have a brown couch, so we're like all sitting on the same couch.
Oh my god.
See?
Oh, look at that! That's so cool! Yay!
Yeah.
It's like you're here, Lisa.
So we can like, all right, Lisa, hold up your hand. We can touch us.
High fives.
Wait,
There we
okay.
go. Augmented
seconds
reality.
away.
Lisa's failing on the other side, but yeah, good enough.
I'm trying.
my
I'm just
God.
like
No, it's okay. It's
20
okay.
second delay.
Oh, I forgot.
Right?
Oh man.
Anyway, it's
Okay, so one more quick thing
we just
on
lost
that.
all our viewers doing that. They're just like,
Yeah.
what is this couch bullshit? Get out of here.
We're doing
So
the
just-
fun stuff now.
So just a quick note on also that like the overlappy stuff, right? Make sure that if the stuff with noble titles, remember that is something that is given by principality officers. Make sure that you're not assigning an artist and they're not assigning an artist too. Because again, right, that gets multiple artists making the same scrolls. So again, just anytime there's an overlap thing, even if they, they're giving permission for you to give out the thing, just make sure, are you gonna get a scroll artist or am I gonna get a scroll artist, right? It's a one sentence thing and that clears everything right there. So it's just important to, okay, so especially right now, a lot of folks are having issues with having materials to make things. I have worked with a lot of scroll artists and artisans of various things currently for this term. A huge issue that we are running into is folks are running out of specific things in their crafting stash to be able to make specific things. When like if I want to make a Paragon sash for somebody and I don't have that color, I don't have the ability to go out to a fabric store right now. I can't be the one assigned to make a specific colored sash, right? If I don't have that in my stash right now, I can't be the one to make it. So that is something that we are dealing with right now due to the situation. So especially if you have multiple people making the same scroll for an individual, that one person could be making a scroll for somebody else that it is needed, and someone might end up without a scroll if someone thinks the other person's going to take care of it and neither of them do. All of a sudden that person doesn't get a scroll, or you're getting a situation to where there are no longer enough materials to get all of them done. So just a heads up with that, especially in the current situation. Communication, again, huge part of Office. We need to be able to communicate with each other and keep organized. So that really goes across the board, I would think, for most offices. Hi, buddy. You're so cute.
Reach right through Lisa to pet.
Lisa, do you have any specific things? Do you have any specific things
Wanna go?
for
Yeah,
Chancellor
yeah,
for
go.
award stuff?
I mean, you said it was literally the first thing you said. Just please keep a list. And you need to, as a chancellor, you need to put in the awards as soon as you possibly can, because those monarchs and those regents are literally basing what award they're giving next on what their orc says, right? So if you didn't enter in that 6th dragon, they're going to get another one. And that's not, like, they're going to go up to accept it and say, I already have my 6th. And then, somebody's, yeah. So, is this broken? No, okay. I can't hear myself.
We are hearing a lot of crackling. Yeah.
I'm sorry. These are Bluetooth,
It's just when you move
and
it.
I'm pretty
It's
sure
literally
3
just when you move
hours.
it. It's just when you move it.
Oh, okay.
So you're good. You're
Okay.
good.
But yes, imperative to enter the things, because literally the monarch and the regent are basing their award structure off of you keeping proper records. We're a team, right? We don't work alone. We're literally a team. We depend on each other. Communication, teamwork. I know it sounds like blah blah blah, rainbows and puppies bullshit, but it's totally like it doesn't work if we don't work together.
Yes,
so.
Absolutely. Oh, also side tip. Especially for Principality Office, when you are determining an award for someone, look at the date that the last one was given, because depending on when their events line up, it might not have been recorded yet. So if you know that someone just had an event like a week ago and it's been a week and you're about to give somebody their next something, check to see what their last date was, right? Watch all the courts that you can, right? Because we have them online right now, right? Just especially for like bigger up stuff too, right? So that you're not doubling up awards, because it might just not be entered yet. So you don't want to be giving somebody their second, fifth something, right? You just got to be careful with.
I've been really lucky. I was gonna say I've been really lucky with the awards since this started. Actually, Parks have been sending me their awards list just like you send me your awards list. So in case it doesn't go, like the Monarch sent me like what was it? The Bell Hollow? Which one? Jeet. Jeet sent me his awards list just in case it didn't get updated in time for mid-reign, to make sure that there was no double up. And that's like, as Principality Chancellor, like if you're willing to keep that record, which, I mean, why not? More records, more information, the better. Then like your regent can come to you and be like, hey, did you hear anything about this? These are what I'm thinking of giving out, and what was given out. You know what I mean? So
yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely, for sure. So I think we got the point where I think we've covered most of the nitty gritty stuff. Do we want to do sort of just final notes and takeaways? Anything that wasn't covered that you'd like to just throw out there? Trying to think if I have anything.
I was like, this is why I write things down.
Yeah.
This is why I write things down, so then I can remember what I've covered, because I can't remember.
Yeah.
Like, I could talk for hours.
I think we definitely have a lot here.
Yeah.
We definitely have a lot.
Again, if you guys have any questions, right, we're wrapping up in the end here. So, if you have any last minute questions, anything you'd like for us to cover quickly before we end this, please tag me. You can do so in Featured Park, or you can do so in the Twitch stream. Directly after this will be Wolvenfang's Featured Night. They're already doing it right now. So
they have half an hour left.
Yeah. Yeah, they've been doing it throughout this. So they're just doing it on another thing. And bless you guys for allowing us to do this. Valiant is amazing and allows me to keep on cutting into this time because I am long-winded and I am so sorry. Appreciate it. Yeah. So, let's see. Some sort of... Oh, sorry. This would not be a class if I did not do this. We're going to do the quick delay, the 20-second dance of nonsense. Waiting for things. And, of course, the jazz hands for Javia. Just do a little dance.
I was not
waiting for questions. End with those jazz hands. That's your 20-second. Yeah, there it is.
I was not prepared. I was not taught to dance. There's preparation. You need to teach the
preparation.
Wait. We can do the wave.
And that was me
Hold on, we
having
can do the
bad
wave. There's three of us.
communication without letting my guests
We can
know.
do a wave.
All right.
So I'll start, then Lisa,
Okay.
then you. For
All right.
them,
All right.
not over here.
Okay.
You ready?
Here we go.
All right, here we go. Whee! We gotta be more flowy. Gotta move more in time with each other. Ready, go. Woo! All right. Lisa, you need to go like as soon as my hand hits at the top. One more thing. We gotta be professional wavists. All right, here we go.
I'm trying to see what it looks like. I'm waiting for the 20-second
As soon as my hands hit the ceiling, as soon as my hands go up, you start. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Woo! All right, that's good. That's enough wave shenanigans.
This is also an important lesson for officers.
Be
Sometimes
friends.
you need some levity. Sometimes you just gotta chill. Enjoy it. You know, it's not all just terrible work and drama and stress. Sometimes it's just hanging out with your friends, shooting the shit and having fun. You know, it's important to have that balance. Enjoy what you do. Do it because you love it. Do what you love. Yeah, so let's go with just some quick takeaways. Any last words or things that you wanted to cover, and whatnot.
Be confident.
Mine is literally communication.
That's my takeaway. Be confident.
I think mine's gonna be patient and understanding of others. Walk a mile in their shoes before judging them. Don't knee-jerk, and be compassionate towards others. Remember that you are there to serve. You are not their overlords. You are a servant to the people, and your job is to help them. At all points, serve them. So, I think that's about it.
Does Lisa have any final takeaways?
I was gonna say, I feel like mine's a little lacking now after following 3 sentences. I was like, communication, organization, take breaks. You're allowed to take breaks. That's a big one. Yes, you're allowed to say no and say, I need to take a break.
Boundaries.
That's a good one. Yes, there we go. Does that work?
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'm very logical point for him.
Super good. Yeah, I just, again, thank you so much for everyone that has come to join us. Thank you so much to my guests, Faye Wellen and Woonjo. Again, I'm Admiral. Really appreciate this, and hello to future watchers of this video. Thank you for watching this. Take care of each other, stay safe, and do what you love.
Bye!
Going to end the stream now. Goodbye.
Also, bye.